The Cat Lady Named Arthur. Part 8. Arthur to Jennifer. By Jennifer J. Chapter 8. The End. Across the yard, Jennifer, 2Fs, always, straddled the industrial wood chipper with grease smeared up her forearms, adjusting something inside the growling beast with a wrench clamped in her teeth. Her flannel shirt, missing 3 buttons, flapped in the diesel-scented wind, revealing glimpses of the lace harness beneath that made Jennifer's martini tremble. Jennifer, Miss J to the loggers, hadn't planned on inheriting her father's timber operation at 36, let alone falling for his foul-mouthed head mechanic. Yet here she was, silk blouse sticking to her ribs while watching Jennifer's thighs flex as she hammered the chipper's feed tray back into alignment. The distraction cost her, her stiletto sank into soft earth, nearly toppling her into a pile of fresh sawdust. "Christ, princess," Jennifer drawled, wiping her hands on oil-streaked jeans. "Those shoes belong in a boardroom, not a fucking lumberyard." But the slow drag of her gaze from Jennifer's ankles to her collarbone betrayed her. The harness peaked again, black lace against sweat-shined skin, and Jennifer's throat went dry. A pine log tumbled off the conveyor belt with a thud that startled them both. Jennifer cursed, vaulting off the machine to intercept it before it crushed the irrigation pipes. Her biceps strained against rolled-up sleeves, veins mapping territory Jennifer had explored with her teeth last night in the foreman's cabin. The memory burned hotter than the midday sun. Snowflakes landed like secrets on Jennifer's shoulders as she straightened. Her nostrils flared, not at the diesel fumes, but at something beyond human senses. "Storm's comin'," she muttered, tongue darting out to catch a flake. Jennifer saw it then, the subtle elongation of her canines, the way her pupils slid against the glare of the yard lights. Miss J reached out, gloved fingers brushing Jennifer's wrist where downy fur now patterned her skin. "You're..." The word dissolved into vapor between them. Jennifer's answering grin was all sharp edges as she peeled off her grease-stained flannel, revealing the full extent of her transformation, taut muscles shifting beneath a pelt of russet fur, her tail whipping through the falling snow with whip-crack precision. One evening, as the first flakes of a winter storm began to fall, Jennifer's transformation took a new turn. Her skin grew a soft fur, and her ears perked up atop her head. Her nose twitched as she caught scents on the wind that no one else could. The group watched in awe as she frolicked in the fresh snow, her tail swishing back and forth in pure delight. The firelight danced across her feline features, casting an eerie yet enchanting glow. Miss J, the wise friend of Jennifer, noticed the change in Jennifer immediately. Her eyes lit up with a knowing smile. She had seen transformations like this before, but never so complete or so joyous. She watched from her warm tent, a steaming cup of tea in hand, as Jennifer discovered her newfound agility. The young girl leaped over small drifts with the grace of a gazelle, her eyes wide with wonder at each new sensation. The two of them grew closer than ever over the winter months. Miss J taught Jennifer the secrets of the camp, from setting the most ingenious traps to identifying the choicest berries hidden beneath the snow. They worked side by side, Miss J's gentle guidance blending with Jennifer's eager curiosity. The other camp members couldn't help but be drawn to their infectious camaraderie, and soon enough, they were the heart of the camp. Summary Carrot 1, Jennifer transformed into a catwoman during a winter evening, showcasing a carefree and happy demeanor. Her friend Miss J observed her grace and joy, and their bond grew stronger as Miss J taught Jennifer survival skills, making them the camp's center of attraction. Jennifer's new abilities brought a sense of wonder and excitement to their daily routines. Her feline instincts proved invaluable in hunting, her sharp eyes and acute hearing allowing them to bring home more game than anyone else. Miss J watched her with a mix of pride and affection, her heart swelling as Jennifer grew into her new identity. They shared jokes and stories, their laughter echoing through the frosty air. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, and by the time the snow started to melt, they had become inseparable. Miss J found herself more in love with Jennifer than ever before, seeing in her a kindred spirit. They spent hours together, preparing the camp for the upcoming summer. Jennifer's nimble paws helped repair nets and sharpen tools, while Miss J taught her the art of tanning hides. The camp buzzed with their laughter and shared moments, a stark contrast to the quietude of the winter months. The other camp members watched their friendship blossom with a mix of admiration and envy. Jenfer had become the best hunter among them, and Miss J the most adept at preparing their catches. They were a formidable team, and the camp flourished under their combined skill and care. The whispers of Catwoman and Witch had long since faded, replaced by a deep respect and affection for the duo. Summary: 1. Jenfer's transformation enhanced her hunting skills, making her a camp asset. Her bond with Miss J grew, and they became an inseparable team, sharing knowledge and laughter, while the camp's dynamic shifted to one of admiration and respect for them. One evening, as they sat outside the tent, sharing a meal of roasted rabbit, Jenfer spoke up, her voice filled with a newfound confidence. "Miss J, I have something to tell you." She paused, her eyes flickering with an emotion that was almost feline in its intensity. "I think I understand now. I think I know what I'm meant to be." Miss J raised an eyebrow, but didn't interrupt. Jenfer's fingers twitched, her claws extending slightly before retracting again, a nervous habit she'd developed since her transformation. "You've given me more than just survival skills," Jenfer continued. "You've given me purpose. And I know, that purpose is you." The firelight flickered across Miss J's face, catching the sudden flush on her cheeks. She'd always been the one in control, the one who knew exactly what to do, but now her hands trembled ever so slightly as she set down her plate. Jenfer leaned in, her breath warm against the cold night air, and for a moment, Miss J could swear she smelled the crisp scent of pine needles mixed with something wild, something alive. Mr. J cleared his throat awkwardly, shifting his weight on the log. "I ain't here to judge," he muttered, though his knuckles had gone white where they gripped his knees. You're sure this ain't some kinda magic messin' with your heads?" Jenfer's answering laugh was low, velvety, a sound that hadn't existed in her human throat. "Magic gave me claws," she said, flexing one hand so the firelight glinted off sharp tips, "but what we feel, that's all us." Miss J set down her plate, her gaze never leaving Jenfer's. "And what's that, my dear?" Jenfer took a deep breath, her tail swishing back and forth in anticipation. "I'm not just a girl anymore. I'm something more, something different." She gestured to her fur-covered hands and the pointed tips of her ears. "I think I'm meant to be the guardian of the camp." Miss J's smile widened, understanding dawning in her eyes. "A guardian, you say?" "Yes," Jenfer nodded firmly. "With these abilities, I can protect everyone here. I can feel it in my bones." Miss J reached out, placing a warm hand on Jenfer's shoulder. "Jenfer, being a guardian is not just about having abilities. It's about using them wisely, and with compassion." She paused, her eyes searching Jenfer's. "But I do believe that you have the potential within you. If that is truly what you wish to become, I will help you every step of the way." Summary: 1. Jenfer reveals her belief that she's meant to be the camp's guardian, showcasing her newfound confidence. Miss J, recognizing her potential, agrees to support and guide her, emphasizing the importance of wisdom and compassion in fulfilling this role. Jenfer's heart soared at the words of encouragement. She had found her purpose, and with Miss J by her side, she knew she could achieve it. Together, they devised a plan to train Jenfer's new abilities to their fullest extent. They spent long hours honing her instincts and learning the ways of the wild. Miss J taught her how to listen to the whispers of the forest and read the subtle signs that betrayed an approaching threat. Jenfer, eager to learn, proved to be a quick study, her feline reflexes making her an excellent pupil. As the snow retreated and the first buds of spring appeared, the camp grew restless. The harsh winter had brought them together, but the promise of warmer days meant that soon they would scatter to their own lands. However, the bond between Jenfer and Miss J had grown too strong to be easily broken. They decided to stay together, to continue their journey into the unknown, exploring the vast wilderness and discovering new lands. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the camp, Mr. J made an unexpected visit. He approached the warm glow of the campfire, his eyes widening at the sight of the two figures seated beside it. Miss J looked up, her cheeks flushing slightly as she saw his familiar silhouette. Jennifer, her fur now a mix of brown and gold to blend with the changing season, turned to look at him, her tail swishing in curiosity. Summary 1. Jennifer discovers her purpose as the camp's guardian and begins rigorous training with Miss J, focusing on honing her feline instincts. The duo decides to stay together post-winter, forming a strong bond that transcends the camp's usual dynamics and prepares for future adventures in the vast wilderness. They were indeed dressed almost identically, both in tight-fitting leather tunics that accentuated their voluminous chests. Miss J had adopted the attire to be more comfortable around Jennifer, who often found human clothes restrictive. But it was more than just the outfits that took Mr. J aback. It was the unmistakable resemblance in their features. Their eyes, once so distinctly human, now held a feline glint, and their ears, slightly pointed at the tips, poked out from beneath their hoods. Jennifer's tail, long and lush, swished behind her as she rose to greet him, her movements a blend of feline grace and human curiosity. She had grown into her new form with a sense of pride and belonging that was evident in every step she took. Her eyes, now a piercing green, locked onto his, and she gave a small bow, a gesture she had picked up from watching the cats in the forest. Mr. J, still in shock, managed a weak smile. "Jennifer, you've changed so much." Jennifer grinned, her fangs peeking out playfully. "It's all part of being a Catwoman, Mr. J," she said, her voice a mesmerizing purr. Mr. J nodded, trying to digest the sight before him. "It's just so unexpected." Miss J chuckled, patting the space next to her on the grass-covered log. "Come, sit with us. There's much we need to discuss." Summary 1. Mr. J visits the camp and is astonished by Jennifer and Miss J's transformation, noticing their feline features and similar attire. Jennifer, confident in her new form, greets him gracefully with a feline bow and acknowledges her transformation with a playful purr, inviting him to join their discussion. Summary 2. Jennifer becomes a Catwoman and learns survival skills from Miss J, growing closer and gaining respect from camp members. Recognizing Jennifer's potential as a guardian, Miss J agrees to train and guide her, solidifying their partnership. Mr. J arrives and is surprised by their bond and feline traits, which Jennifer introduces playfully. Mr. J hesitantly took a seat, his eyes flicking between the two of them. He couldn't help but stare at Jennifer's tail, which curled around her legs, almost like it had a mind of its own. "What happened to you both?" he finally asked, his voice a mix of concern and amazement. Miss J took a sip of her tea before speaking. "Jennifer discovered something special about herself during the winter," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "She's not just a girl anymore. She's a Catwoman." Mr. J stared at Jennifer, his eyes widening as he took in her feline features. "But, how?" "It's a long story, Dad," Jennifer said with a playful swish of her tail. "But I promise, it's all for the better." Miss J leaned in closer to Jennifer, their shoulders touching. "We've grown so much together," she said, her eyes sparkling. "We're like twins, aren't we, Jennifer?" Jennifer purred in agreement, her eyes half-lidded with contentment. "More than twins, Miss J," she corrected, her tail curling around Miss J's waist. "We're like soulmates." Mr. J's expression shifted, his brow furrowing as he took in their words. "Almost, lovers," he echoed, his voice tight. Miss J nodded, her cheeks coloring deeper. "Our bond has grown into something more than friendship," she admitted. "We found a connection that goes beyond what I ever thought possible." Mr. J swallowed hard, trying to process the revelation. "But, Miss J, you're Jennifer age," he stammered. Summary 1. Mr. J confronts the transformed Jennifer and Miss J, struggling to comprehend their new identities. Jennifer explains her Catwoman nature, and Miss J reveals their deepened bond, hinting at a romantic relationship. Despite Mr. J's initial shock, the three engage in an intimate conversation, acknowledging the profound changes in their lives. Miss J met his gaze, her own eyes filled with understanding. "I know it's difficult to comprehend, Mr. J, but love doesn't always follow human rules." She took Jennifer's hand, her thumb tracing gentle circles on the back of it. "We're both different now, and we found a bond that transcends our previous lives." Jennifer stretched lazily, her ears twitching at the distant rustle of leaves in the wind. "You humans worry too much about normal," she murmured, then grinned, flashing sharp canines. "But I don't mind, means more salmon for me." Her playful jab eased the tension, and Mr. J couldn't help but chuckle despite himself. The scent of pine sap mixed with the faint musk of Jennifer's fur filled the air, grounding him in the surreal moment. Miss J leaned into Jennifer's side, their bodies fitting together like two pieces of a puzzle. "Dad, you should see her climb trees," she said, pride warming her voice. "Faster than any logger here. She saved 3 workers from falls this month alone." Jennifer purred at the praise, her tail flicking against Miss J's thigh. The fading sunlight caught the gold flecks in her pupils, unnerving yet mesmerizing. Mr. J searched for the right words, his mind racing. He had always known Miss J to be a wise and compassionate soul, and if she believed in this new path for Jennifer, then maybe he could too. He took a deep breath and spoke slowly. "I just want you to be happy, Jennifer. If this is what makes you happy." Jennifer leaned over, pressing her cheek against Miss J's. "Thank you, Dad," she murmured, her voice a mix of relief and love. Mr. J's expression softened. "Just be safe, both of you," he said, his voice gruff with emotion. Miss J squeezed Jennifer's hand reassuringly. "We will, Mr. J. I promise." The tension in the air dissipated as Mr. J nodded, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Then I suppose I must get used to calling you Miss Jennifer from now on." Jennifer giggled, the sound a mix of human amusement and feline purr. "I think I like the sound of that," she said, her tail swishing in excitement. Miss J leaned into Jennifer, her eyes shining with affection. "As long as we have each other, nothing can harm us," she whispered. Jennifer's tail swished in agreement. "Together, we're unstoppable," she murmured. Summary. 1. Jennifer's father, Mr. J, expresses his concern over their newfound love, but ultimately accepts it, understanding that it's their true happiness. He expresses his only condition, their safety. The trio shares a moment of understanding, with Mr. J accepting Jennifer's new identity and their bond. The scene ends with Miss J and Jennifer feeling supported and excited for their future together. Mr. J nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. "I believe you," he said, his voice filled with a newfound admiration. "But what of the others? Will they accept your new life?" Miss J squeezed Jennifer's hand. "We'll face that together," she said with determination. "We've come so far, and we've proven ourselves to the camp." The two of them turned to Mr. J, who nodded solemnly. "All right," he said, taking a deep breath. "Let's try it your way." Miss J's heart swelled with hope. She had never seen Jennifer so alive, so sure of herself. And if this transformation was what made her happy, then he had to support her, no matter how strange it all seemed. As the camp buzzed with the news of Miss J and Jennifer's bond, whispers turned to discussions and discussions to tales. The campfire that once hosted whispers of fear and suspicion now crackled with the warmth of acceptance and admiration. Jennifer's grace and strength became the stuff of campfire legends. Stories of her prowess in hunting and her uncanny ability to sense danger were told with awe, and Miss J's wisdom and nurturing nature were revered. The camp had always been a place of survival, but now it felt like a true community. Summary. 1. Mr. J questions the camp's acceptance of Jennifer and Miss J's bond, but they stand firm together. The camp's reaction to their relationship evolves from suspicion to admiration, with Jennifer's abilities as a catwoman becoming legendary. This transformation turns the camp into a more cohesive community centered on respect and support for one another's differences. Summary. 2. Mr. J initially shocked by their feline forms and romance, but after an intimate conversation, accepts their relationship with a condition of safety. The camp grows to admire Jennifer's abilities, fostering a more accepting community. The other camp members began to see the two as a symbol of hope and unity. Their love story was whispered to scared children as a lullaby, and sung by young adults as a ballad of courage. The transformation from outcast to guardians had not just changed Jennifer and Miss J but the very fabric of the camp itself. They had become the heart of the camp, a beacon of what it meant to truly embrace one's identity and find strength in diversity. The nights grew warmer as spring took hold, and the campfire grew larger, the flames licking the sky with tales of Miss J and Jennifer's adventures. They sat at the center of the gathering, sharing stories of their time in the wilderness, teaching the others the ways of the Catwoman. Each member of the camp felt a new kinship with the duo, as if their bond had somehow woven itself into the very fabric of their community. The children especially were captivated by Jennifer. They would often gather around her, asking questions about her fur and her tail, which she would answer with playful purrs and gentle swipes. Miss J watched them with a smile, knowing that the fear that once shrouded Jennifer had been replaced by admiration and wonder. The adults, too, found themselves looking to Jennifer for guidance, her instincts and agility becoming an integral part of their daily lives. Summary 1. Miss J and Jennifer's relationship is celebrated and becomes a symbol of unity within the camp. Their tales become the heart of campfire stories, and they are seen as guardians. The camp's dynamic changes, with everyone embracing Jennifer's unique nature. She becomes a beloved figure, especially among children, who learn from her and are inspired by her strength. The camp grew more prosperous under their guardianship. With Jennifer's heightened senses, they were warned of predators long before they could pose a threat. The animals they hunted were more bountiful, as if drawn to the harmony the two shared. The berries they gathered were sweeter, the fish they caught more plentiful. It was as if the very land itself had blessed their union. The campfire tales grew grander with each telling. Miss J and Jennifer became mythical figures, their story a tapestry of love and transformation that resonated with everyone who heard it. The campfire became a sacred place, where all gathered to listen and learn from the wisdom of the Catwoman and her devoted partner. As the snow melted away, revealing the vibrant greenery beneath, something strange began to happen. Other camp members, inspired by Jennifer's revelation, started to explore their own hidden abilities. A young woman named Luna began to show signs of an affinity with the nocturnal animals, her eyes reflecting the moon's light and her hearing growing so sharp she could eavesdrop on the whispers of owls. Another member, a burly man named Tom, found his skin growing tougher and his strength increasing. He discovered that he could commune with the ancient spirits of the forest, seeking their guidance and protection for the camp. Summary 1. The camp prospers under Miss J and Jennifer's protection, with Jennifer's cat-like traits benefiting everyone. Their story becomes a source of inspiration and campfire folklore. Inspired, others start discovering their own latent abilities, such as Luna's connection to nocturnal animals and Tom's strength and communion with forest spirits. The transformation of the camp was palpable. People who had once lived in fear of the unknown now embraced it with open arms. Miss J and Jennifer's love had become a beacon of hope and acceptance, a catalyst for change that resonated through each member of the community. They had turned the camp into a haven for those who were different, a place where they could not only survive but thrive. Luna, the quiet girl who had always loved the night, began to spend more and more time with Jennifer. She found that as the days grew longer and the nights shorter, her connection to the nocturnal world grew stronger. She could feel the pulse of the moon in her veins, and the whispers of the owls grew clearer each night. Under the watchful eye of the camp's new guardians, she honed her skills, learning to navigate the darkness with ease. Her nightly excursions brought back rare and precious herbs that Miss J used for healing potions and spells, adding another layer of protection to the camp. Tom, the burly lumberjack, surprised everyone when he discovered his own gift, strength that wasn't just muscle deep. One evening, as he lifted a fallen oak trunk to clear a path, the wood beneath his hands seemed to hum in recognition. The tree spoke to him in groans and sighs, guiding him to where they needed tending. He became the camp's unofficial caretaker of the forest, ensuring no tree was felled unnecessarily and that the spirits within remained undisturbed. His bond with the land deepened, and sometimes, when the wind was just right, you could swear you saw ivy curling around his fingers as he worked. Meanwhile, Jennifer and Miss J found their nights no longer belonged entirely to themselves. The children of the camp, emboldened by their growing courage, would often sneak out to watch Jennifer scale trees with effortless grace or Miss J weave moonlight into protective charms. One particularly bold boy, Eli, even tried mimicking Jennifer's leap from a low branch, only to tumble into a pile of leaves, giggling uncontrollably. Jennifer scooped him up, her tail flicking with amusement, and whispered, "You'll get there, little cub. But maybe start with the ground first." Tom, the burly man with a gentle soul, found himself drawn to the ancient trees that surrounded their camp. He had always felt a kinship with the natural world, but now it was as if the trees spoke to him directly. His skin grew thick and calloused, his arms like mighty oaks. His transformation was more gradual, but by the time the first buds of spring had unfurled, he could feel the power of the earth beneath his feet, and the trees bent to his will. His newfound strength became invaluable in fending off threats from the forest, and his knowledge of the land's ancient spirits provided the camp with a deeper connection to the world around them. The camp grew stronger, more unified. Each member who embraced their unique gift found a place of belonging, a role to play in the tapestry of their shared lives. There was a palpable energy in the air, a buzz of excitement that grew as the days grew longer and the nights grew warmer. The camp was no longer just a place of refuge but a thriving community of individuals who had found their true selves. Summary 1. Tom's bond with the forest deepens as he transforms into a guardian of the land, gaining the ability to communicate with ancient spirits and gaining great strength. The camp's unity and strength grow as individuals embrace their unique abilities, leading to a vibrant, interconnected community. Summary 2. Miss J and Jennifer's relationship inspires unity in the camp, and their protective roles lead to camp prosperity. Their story becomes camp lore, influencing others like Luna and Tom to discover and enhance their own special abilities, creating a haven for the unique. As the snow retreated and the first blossoms of spring pushed their way through the frozen earth, the transformations grew more dramatic. Luna's eyes had taken on a luminescent quality, reflecting the moon's glow as she moved through the night. Her grace had become so feline that she could almost be mistaken for Jennifer's sister in the dark. And Tom, once a silent sentinel, now spoke with the authority of the ancients, his deep voice resonating with the whispers of the forest. The camp watched in amazement as each member who had once feared their differences now embraced them. A young boy named Timmy, who had always felt out of place, discovered he could speak to the winds and coax them to do his bidding. The gentle rustle of leaves in the trees became a symphony of information, guiding him to hidden game trails and the best hunting grounds. His shy demeanor transformed into one of confidence as he shared his newfound gift with the camp, his cheeks red with excitement as the wind played with his hair. Summary 1. The camp's transformations continue with Luna's increasingly feline grace and Tom's deepened connection to ancient spirits. Timmy discovers his ability to control the wind, boosting the camp's resources and confidence. Each member's unique gift becomes a point of pride, contributing to the camp's overall strength. An older woman named Agnes, who had always felt a kinship with the earth, began to show signs of a deep connection with the plants. Her touch made the barest of saplings flourish into lush, fruit-bearing trees. Her quiet whispers could calm a storm of weeds, turning the harshest of terrains into fertile grounds for crops. The camp looked to her in wonder as she taught them the ancient art of coaxing life from the earth. Her once stooped back straightened, and a youthful vitality blossomed within her, a testament to the power of accepting one's true nature. The changes did not come without their share of challenges. Some of the camp members struggled with the rapid shifts in their identities, and tensions occasionally arose as old fears and prejudices reared their ugly heads. But Miss J and Jennifer were there to mediate, their love and acceptance serving as a balm to soothe ruffled feathers and ease troubled hearts. They taught the camp that their differences were not to be feared but celebrated, that together they were a formidable force that could overcome any obstacle. One stormy night, the camp was awakened by the sound of distant howling. Jennifer's ears perked up, and her tail swished anxiously. "Trouble," she murmured, her eyes flashing with a fierce protective light. Miss J nodded, understanding in her gaze. They had heard of a rogue pack of wolves that had been causing havoc in the neighboring lands, and it seemed they had found their way to the camp. Summary 1. Agnes discovers her affinity for plant life, revitalizing the camp's surroundings and contributing to food supply. Despite challenges and fears, Miss J and Jennifer maintain peace and encourage acceptance of each member's abilities. A distant wolf howl foreshadows an approaching threat from a rogue pack. Without a word, the two of them slipped out of the tent, their movements silent and swift. The rain pelted down, turning the earth to mud as they made their way to the camp's edge. Jennifer's fur stood on end, her instincts telling her that the danger was close. Miss J's hand tightened around the knife at her side, her heart pounding in rhythm with the thunder that echoed through the night. The camp was in a panic, the once snoring forms now sitting bolt upright, weapons at the ready. They had faced adversity before, but this felt different. The howls grew louder, closer, the wind carrying the scent of wet fur and blood. Jennifer's eyes narrowed, her tail lashing as she picked up the scent of the predators. Miss J looked to her, the firelight casting shadows across her face. "We need to protect the camp," she said firmly. "Your instincts will be our guide." Jennifer nodded, her eyes gleaming with a fierce determination. She had come to love the camp as her own, and she would not let it fall to the mercy of these marauding wolves. The two of them moved through the camp, whispering to the terrified members, calming their fears and organizing the defense. As the howls grew closer, Miss J raised her hand, and a hush fell over the camp. Summary: 1. Jennifer and Miss J detect the imminent danger of a rogue wolf pack approaching. They prepare the camp for defense, using their feline instincts to guide the panicked camp members into readiness for the impending threat. Tom, now a towering figure of strength and power, stepped forward. The trees around them seemed to lean in closer, as if lending their support. "We stand with you, Jennifer," he rumbled, his voice deep and resonant. Luna's eyes shone with a soft moonlight, and she took her place beside them, the nocturnal animals of the forest gathering in her wake. Timmy, the young boy who could speak to the winds, approached the trio, his hair whipping around him. "And we stand with Miss J," he exclaimed, his voice carrying the excitement of the gusts. The air grew still, the only sound the thunderous beating of their hearts as the first wolf paws hit the camp's perimeter. The wolves, massive and snarling, emerged from the shadows, their eyes gleaming with a hunger that transcended the need for food. They had tasted the power of fear and sought to feast upon it once more. Jennifer's tail swished, a silent warning to the pack. With a low, rumbling growl that seemed to come from the earth itself, she stepped forward, her feline grace a stark contrast to the brute force of the wolves. Summary: 1. The camp, now a community of those with unique abilities, rallies behind Jennifer and Miss J as Tom and Luna stand with them, displaying their own power over the elements. Timmy, with his command over the wind, joins them in a united front against the encroaching wolf pack. Summary: 2. The camp's unity and individual powers grow, with Luna and Tom discovering new abilities. Their collective strength is tested by a rogue wolf pack, which Jennifer and Miss J prepare the camp to face together. Miss J, her eyes ablaze with the fire of her own transformation, raised her arms. A fierce wind tore through the camp, sending sparks from the bonfire spiraling into the night. The wolves paused, thrown off by the sudden gale. In the chaos, the camp members found their courage, their own power stirring within them. They knew they had a leader in Jennifer and a guardian in Miss J, and together, they could face this threat. The battle was fierce. Jennifer's agility allowed her to dodge the snapping jaws of the wolves, her claws and fangs striking with lethal precision. Miss J's newfound strength was evident as she swung a mighty branch, sending one of the beasts flying through the air. Luna moved like a shadow, her eyes darting here and there, guiding the camp's archers to the most vulnerable targets. And Tom, now a living embodiment of the forest, called upon the ancient spirits to bolster the camp's defenses. The ground trembled beneath the wolves' paws, roots snaking up to entangle them, trees bending low to shield the camp from their leaps. The camp members, their hearts swelling with courage, fought alongside their guardians. Timmy's winds grew stronger, creating a barrier that the wolves could not breach. Agnes' plants grew into thick barriers, ensnaring the attackers in a prison of thorns and vines. The camp had become a fortress of nature, with Miss J and Jennifer at its core. Summary: 1. The camp members, each empowered by their unique abilities, unite under Miss J and Jennifer's leadership to face the wolf threat. Miss J controls the wind, Tom commands the forest, Luna aids archers with her feline sight, and Timmy's winds form a protective barrier. Agnes' plants entangle the attackers, turning the camp into a living defense. The wolves, cunning and relentless, soon realized they faced more than mere humans. Jennifer's eyes held the wisdom of the Catwoman, and she could see their fear. She knew their leader, a massive alpha with a scar across its muzzle, had to be taken down to end this. She darted through the chaos, her eyes locked on the alpha. With a grace that belied her power, she leaped onto its back, her claws digging deep. Miss J, ever the strategist, saw the opportunity. She called upon her inner strength, her body shifting and contorting until she too bore the mark of the wild. Her skin grew tougher, her eyes sharper, as she charged the alpha with a war cry that echoed through the night. The creature snarled, tossing Jennifer aside, but she rolled and sprang back, her tail a blur as she danced around it. The camp watched in awe as Miss J and Jennifer moved in perfect sync, a blend of human and feline, fierce and graceful. The alpha wolf, a creature of power and cunning, faced an adversary it had not anticipated: love and unity. Each time it lunged, Miss J would redirect its attack with a swing of her mighty branch, while Jennifer's claws and teeth scored deep. The wolves surrounding them grew more cautious, their eyes flickering with doubt. Summary: 1. Jennifer targets the alpha wolf, using her cat-like agility to gain the upper hand. Miss J, transforming further, joins the fight, using her newfound strength to outmaneuver the creature. Their coordinated efforts and the camp's unity begin to intimidate the pack, casting doubt among the attacking wolves. In the frenzy of the battle, Luna's eyes glowed brighter, and she sent a silent call to the nocturnal creatures of the forest. They answered, emerging from the shadows like ghosts. Owls dove from the skies, talons outstretched, and the wolves yelped as they were pecked and harassed from above. The forest floor came alive with the rustle of small paws and the hiss of irritated nocturnal hunters defending their home. Agnes, her hands in the dirt, felt the pulse of the earth beneath her. The ground shifted, and the wolves stumbled as the earth grew restless. The trees, whispering their ancient secrets to Tom, bent their mighty limbs to swat the predators away. The camp was not just a collection of humans now, it was a living, breathing entity that had awoken to protect itself. The alpha wolf, surrounded by a wall of green and the relentless fury of the camp's guardians, knew it was outmatched. Its eyes met Jennifer's, and for a moment, there was an understanding. It was not a creature of evil but one of survival, driven by instinct and desperation. Jennifer's gaze softened, and she offered a silent truce. The alpha's snarl lessened, and it stepped back, its pack following suit. Summary: 1. Luna and Agnes harness their powers to summon forest creatures and manipulate the earth to aid in the defense, creating a formidable alliance with nature. Jennifer connects with the alpha wolf, offering a silent truce that causes the pack to withdraw. Miss J stepped forward, her chest heaving from the exertion of battle. She offered the alpha a piece of raw meat from the camp stores, a peace offering. The wolf took it, its eyes never leaving hers. With a nod, it turned and trotted back into the forest, its pack in tow. The camp watched in silence as the wolves disappeared into the night, the howling fading into the distance. The campfire crackled back to life, the flames dancing in the aftermath of the storm. Miss J turned to Jennifer, her eyes filled with pride. "You've truly become the guardian I knew you were meant to be," she said, her voice thick with emotion. Jennifer nuzzled against her, purring contentedly. The camp members approached, their expressions a mix of amazement and gratitude. "We're in your debt," said one, a young mother holding her child tightly. Jennifer grinned, her fangs glinting in the firelight. "Just keep feeding me salmon." The tension broke, laughter bubbling up through the exhausted group. Tom rubbed his hands together, still buzzing with the energy of the forest, and nudged Luna. "Told you we'd win," he muttered. Luna rolled her eyes but couldn't hide her smirk as she leaned against him, her tail flicking against his leg. Agnes, meanwhile, knelt by the trampled earth, coaxing crushed ferns back to life with whispered words and fingertips that glowed faintly green. The scent of damp soil and fresh growth mingled with wood smoke. Miss J stretched, arching her back with a satisfied groan that drew Jennifer's attention instantly. "You're staring," Miss J teased, catching her lover's gaze. Jennifer flicked an ear, unabashed. Can't help it, she said, stepping closer to trace a claw lightly down Miss J's arm. You were incredible out there. The camp discreetly busied themselves, Timmy loudly stacking firewood, Agnes suddenly engrossed in a conversation with a squirrel, but no one missed the way Miss J's breath hitched. Miss J's gaze swept over the camp, her heart swelling with pride. You're all guardians now, she said. You've claimed your own power, and together we're unstoppable. The camp broke into a spontaneous cheer, the tension of the night dissipating into the cool spring air. They had faced their fears and emerged stronger for it. The camp was no longer just a place of survival, it had become a bastion of unity and acceptance. Summary 1. After the battle, Miss J offers the alpha wolf peace, and it retreats with its pack. The camp acknowledges their newfound guardian status, with Miss J praising Jennifer's role. The camp's unity solidifies, turning it into a bastion of acceptance and shared strength. Summary 2. The camp, empowered by their individual abilities, worked together to repel the wolf pack. Jennifer and Miss J's leadership and the others' unique contributions result in victory and reinforce their status as protectors, fostering a stronger community. Summary 3. Jennifer adapts to being a catwoman at the camp, bonding with Miss J and gaining acceptance. Mr. J accepts their relationship, and the camp evolves into a haven for the unique. Luna and Tom also discover abilities, and the camp's unity is tested by a wolf pack. Their collective strength and leadership lead to victory. In the following days, the camp saw a surge of growth and prosperity. Miss J and Jennifer continued their training, pushing themselves and their newfound abilities to the limit. They taught the camp the art of blending with nature, how to listen to the whispers of the wind and the secrets of the earth. The once scared individuals grew into a formidable group of protectors, each with their unique bond to the land. The camp grew more beautiful with each passing week, as Agnes' plants grew more lush and vibrant, providing ample food and medicine. Timmy's winds brought them clear skies and swift game, and Luna's nightly patrols ensured their safety from any lurking threats. The camp had become a beacon of hope in the post-apocalyptic landscape, a place where the outcasts had found a new family and a new purpose. One sunny afternoon, as the camp went about their daily routines, a figure emerged from the distant horizon. It was Misha, a member who had ventured out on a solo exploration, her eyes shining with excitement. She had returned with a newcomer, a young woman who walked with a peculiar grace, half human, half bunny. Her fur was a soft white that caught the light, and her ears twitched with every sound, as if eager to listen to the stories of this extraordinary camp. Summary 1. Miss J and Jennifer train the camp on using their powers, leading to growth and prosperity. Agnes' plants, Timmy's winds, and Luna's night patrols contribute to their self-sufficiency. Misha returns with a new member, a half-human, half-bunny girl, expanding the camp's diverse population of individuals with special abilities. The camp gathered around, curious and welcoming. Misha stepped forward, a gentle smile playing on her lips. "This is Bunny," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "She's been through a transformation like us and has been looking for a place to belong." Bunny's cheeks flushed a soft pink, and she offered a shy wave with a paw-like hand. The camp buzzed with excitement, the children's eyes wide with wonder as they took in the newest addition to their unique family. Miss J and Jennifer approached Bunny cautiously, their senses on high alert. They could feel the gentle hum of power emanating from her, a kinship of the transformed. "Welcome," Miss J said, extending a hand. "We're Miss J and Jennifer, the guardians of the camp. We've all found our true selves here. I think you'll fit in nicely." Bunny looked around at the faces staring back at her, a mix of awe and curiosity. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice a gentle thump of a rabbit's footfall. "I've heard stories of a place where those like us can be free. I never thought I'd find it." Miss J studied her, sensing the power within. "You're welcome here," she assured her. "We all have our own stories. Tell us yours." Summary 1. Introducing Bunny, a new camp member with her own transformation story. The camp's diversity expands. Miss J and Jennifer, the established guardians, warmly welcome her, recognizing the shared bond of their unique identities. Bunny feels a sense of belonging as she shares her story with the community. Bunny took a deep breath and began to speak. Her voice was as soft as the whisper of a leaf against the wind. "My name is Bunny," she said. "Once, I was just like you, living in fear and confusion after the world changed. I found myself alone, my body morphing into something I didn't recognize. But I discovered that with each transformation, I became stronger, faster. The forest became my home, and I learned to trust my instincts. I've been searching for a place like this, where I can be accepted and learn to control my new abilities." Miss J and Jennifer listened intently, their hearts swelling with empathy. They knew all too well the feeling of isolation and fear that came with their own transformations. The camp had become a haven for them, a place where they could grow and understand their new selves. Now, they were ready to offer that same sanctuary to Bunny. Miss J took Bunny's paw in her hand, her gaze steady and warm. "You're home now," she said. "We'll help you find your place here, and together we'll keep this camp safe." Jennifer's tail swished with excitement as she took in the newcomer's delicate features. "We're all a little bit of both now," she said with a grin. "Part animal, part human. But that just makes us more interesting, doesn't it?" Bunny's eyes lit up, and she nodded eagerly. "I've heard of your camp," she said, her voice a gentle thump. "How you've turned your differences into strengths." Summary 1. Bunny shares her journey of self-discovery and search for belonging, revealing her newfound rabbit-like traits. Miss J and Jennifer offer her a place in the camp, emphasizing its nature as a haven for those with unique transformations. Jennifer highlights the strength in their differences, setting the stage for Bunny to potentially contribute to their collective power. Miss Y stepped forward, her own animalistic features less pronounced than Miss J's and Jennifer's but still present in the way she moved and the glint in her eyes. "You're not alone, Bunny," she assured her. "Some of us were born this way. Like me." She pointed to her slightly elongated ears and the soft down that covered her arms. "Others transformed over time. But here, we're all one family." The camp grew quiet, their eyes moving from Bunny to Miss Y and back again. It was clear that the revelation had struck a chord with many of them. Whispers of those who had been born with their animal traits grew into a soft murmur of shared experiences. They had all found refuge here, but some had carried their differences with them from the start. Miss J looked around, her heart swelling with a newfound sense of pride. She had always known that their camp was special, but now it was becoming something more, a true haven for all who had been touched by the strange forces that had reshaped the world. Bunny, her eyes wide with hope, took in the surroundings, her nose twitching as she picked up the scents of the camp. Miss Y led her to a quiet spot beside the healing tent, where they could speak without being overheard. "You see, Bunny," she began, her voice a gentle purr, "some of us were born with these gifts, like me and the others you've heard about. And some, like Jennifer here," she gestured towards the Catwoman, "were changed by something they drank or ate." Summary 1. Miss Y reveals that some camp members were born with animal traits, offering Bunny another perspective on belonging. The camp's unity is reinforced as they share their varied origins, turning the camp into a true sanctuary for those transformed by the world's mysterious forces. This fosters hope and solidarity among them, highlighting the diversity of their experiences. Summary 2. Miss J and Jennifer train the camp in their powers, leading to a more prosperous and self-sufficient community. The arrival of Bunny, a new member with rabbit traits, further diversifies the camp's population. Her story of self-discovery resonates, reinforcing the camp's role as a haven for those with special abilities. Miss J nodded, her eyes thoughtful. "And some of us," she added, "like Luna and Tom, found our powers within ourselves when we most needed them." Luna stepped forward, her eyes glowing faintly with moonlight. "I've always loved the night," she said softly, "but I never knew it could be so much more than just darkness." Tom, his skin still bearing the rough texture of bark, placed a comforting hand on Bunny's shoulder. "And I," he rumbled, "found strength in the trees when I needed it most." The camp grew still as they absorbed the implications of Miss Y's revelation. For some, it was a moment of understanding, a piece of their puzzling past falling into place. For others, it was a revelation that shook the very core of their identity. But amidst the whispers and shifting glances, there was an underlying sense of unity. They had all found refuge here, and together, they had discovered their true potential. Bunny felt the weight of their collective gaze, her heart pounding in her chest. She had been searching for so long, hoping for a place where she could belong. And now, she had found it. As she took in the various animalistic traits of her new companions, she felt a strange tingling in her chest, as if something deep within her was awakening. Summary 1. Luna and Tom share how they discovered their powers, emphasizing the internal discovery aspect of their transformations. The camp reacts with a mix of understanding and introspection, realizing the depth of their shared experiences. This solidifies their unity and sense of belonging, and Bunny feels something within her stir as she looks upon her newfound kin. My home, she began, her voice trembling slightly, was in Texas, USA. Before the change, I lived a simple life, but it was a good one. I had a garden, a quiet place where I could be with the plants and animals. But when the world changed, everything was destroyed. I had to leave to find somewhere safe, somewhere I could be accepted. Miss J's gaze was solemn, understanding the pain that came with leaving everything behind. Why did you come here? She asked gently. Bunny looked at her new friends, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I heard whispers, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Whispers of a place where those like us are accepted. A place where we can be ourselves without fear of judgment. Miss J nodded solemnly, understanding all too well the desperation that comes from feeling like an outcast. You've come a long way, Bunny, she said. But you're home now. Jennifer leaned in, curiosity piqued. Why did you leave Texas, Bunny? She asked, her eyes filled with empathy. Bunny's gaze fell to the ground, the memory heavy. When the transformations began, fear spread like wildfire, she murmured. Those who were different were hunted, blamed for the chaos. I had to run, to find a place where I could be accepted. I've been moving from one abandoned town to another, hiding during the day, traveling at night. Summary 1. Bunny recounts her past life in Texas, her transformation, and the persecution that led her to seek refuge. Her journey has been one of survival and hope, driven by whispers of a place where she could belong without fear. The camp members listen empathetically, understanding her pain and welcoming her into their safe haven. Miss J's eyes filled with compassion. She knew the pain of being hunted, the desperation of seeking refuge. You don't have to run anymore, she said firmly. You're with us now. Jennifer nodded in agreement, her whiskers twitching. Miss J's right, she said, placing a comforting paw on Bunny's arm. This camp is our home now, and we're all in this together. The camp members gathered around, eager to hear more of Bunny's journey. Her story was one of survival and hope, a testament to the strength of those who had been forced to adapt in a world that no longer made sense. As the campfire crackled and the shadows danced across their faces, they shared their own tales of transformation and discovery. Each member spoke in turn, their voices weaving a tapestry of courage and resilience. They spoke of the moments when they had first realized their powers, the fear and confusion that had gripped them, and the gradual acceptance that had led them here. They spoke of the battles they had fought, the losses they had endured, and the bonds they had formed. And as they shared their experiences, the camp grew closer, their shared struggles forging an unbreakable link between them. Summary 1. The camp rallies around Bunny, offering her a place of belonging and support. Each member shares their transformation story, creating a collective narrative of survival and adaptation. Their shared experiences strengthen their bonds and reinforce the camp's identity as a sanctuary for those with special abilities. Miss J listened, her heart swelling with pride for each of them. She had started as their leader, but now she saw them as equals, as fellow guardians of this sacred place. As the night grew late, the campfire's warmth lulling them into a sense of security, she knew that they had all found their place in this new world. Now that we're all here, Miss J began, her voice carrying the weight of 1,000 battles, we must prepare for what's to come. The world outside is still dangerous, and our existence is a beacon that may attract more than just curious travelers. The camp grew silent, the gravity of her words sinking in. Jennifer knew what she meant. The whispers of their success had surely reached the ears of those who would seek to harm them, those who feared what they could not understand. But fear not, Miss J continued, her eyes gleaming with a fierce determination, for we stand together. We will face whatever comes next as one. The next day, as the camp buzzed with the excitement of Bunny's arrival, Mr. J approached Jennifer with a serious expression. Jennifer, he said, his voice low, I need to speak with you in private. There's something important in the office for you. Summary 1. Miss J addresses the camp, acknowledging their shared experiences and responsibilities as protectors of their haven. The group's unity is emphasized as a source of strength in the face of external threats. As the camp celebrates Bunny's arrival, Mr. J calls Jennifer aside for a private conversation, hinting at a new development or responsibility. Summary 2. The camp shares their personal transformation stories, creating a collective bond of understanding and solidarity. Bunny feels welcomed and accepted as she recounts her past and journey to the camp. Miss J reinforces their shared identity as protectors and guardians of the sanctuary, hinting at new responsibilities ahead for Jennifer. Jennifer's heart skipped a beat, curiosity piqued. She had seen the way Mr. J's eyes had studied her since the battle, as if he were trying to understand the new person she had become. She nodded and followed him to the small wooden structure that served as the camp's command center. The scent of pine filled the air, and the floorboards creaked under their feet as they stepped inside. Mr. J led her to a corner of the room, where a package wrapped in fur and tied with vines sat on the desk. This arrived for you, he said, his voice gruff with emotion. It's from your family. Jennifer's heart raced as she approached the parcel, her paws shaking with anticipation. The scent of her old life clung to it, a faint whiff of her mother's perfume and the dusty streets of her childhood home. Gently, she began to untangle the vines, her eyes misting over as she revealed the contents within. Inside the fur wrapping lay a collection of items that brought a flood of memories. There was her mother's locket, a small photo of her family before the world had changed, and a letter, yellowed and worn with age. The paper was brittle in her grasp, the ink faded, but the words were clear enough to read, To our dear Jennifer, we hope this finds you safe and loved. We are proud of the guardian you have become. Keep these tokens close and remember your roots, but never forget to embrace the future. Love, Mom and Dad. Jennifer's breath hitched as she traced the familiar handwriting with a claw. Beside her, Mr. J shifted uncomfortably, clearing his throat. They knew, she murmured, more to herself than to him. They knew what I was becoming, even before I did. The weight of that realization settled over her like a second skin, bittersweet and heavy. She clutched the locket tightly, its cold metal warming against her palm. Outside, the distant chatter of the camp carried through the thin walls, Luna's playful growl, Bunny's light footsteps darting between cabins, Miss J's commanding laughter. Jennifer closed her eyes, the sounds painting a vivid contrast to the silence of her old life. When she opened them again, Mr. J was watching her with an unreadable expression. You built something here, he said gruffly. Something good. The admission seemed to cost him, his knuckles whitening where they gripped the edge of the desk. Tears spilled down Jennifer's cheeks, a mix of joy and sorrow. It had been so long since she had heard from her family, and to know they were thinking of her filled her with warmth. She clutched the locket to her chest, feeling the weight of her mother's love, and read the note once more. Her eyes fell upon the long blue box that sat among the other items. It was the most mysterious of the bunch, unassuming yet somehow significant. With trembling fingers, she lifted the lid, revealing a pair of glasses nestled in a bed of soft moss. They were her glasses, the ones she had lost so long ago. They had been her lifeline in a world that was once blurry and confusing. Now, as a Catwoman, her vision was perfect but can't read close up, but the gesture was not lost on her. Mr. J watched her with a soft expression, understanding the depth of what this simple object meant to her. He cleared his throat, breaking the silence. There's also a note, he said, pointing to a piece of paper tucked beside the glasses. Jennifer picked up the note with trembling fingers, her eyes scanning the familiar handwriting. It was from her mother, the words filled with love and hope. Her mother spoke of their own transformations, of how they had found a new life in the ruins of the old world, and how they had watched from afar as Jennifer had grown into the leader she was meant to be. The letter ended with a plea for her to continue to embrace her new life and never forget her humanity. Summary 1. Jennifer opens a mysterious blue box containing her old glasses, a symbol of her human past. Accompanying the glasses is a heartfelt letter from her mother, sharing the family's own transformations and expressing pride in Jennifer's leadership. The message underscores the importance of her human roots and encourages her to continue embracing her new life. With trembling paws, Jennifer lifted the glasses from the box. The frames were a bit snug, but she managed to fit them on her face. The world around her grew sharper, more focused. She picked up the book that had been buried in the package, feeling the weight of the paper in her hands. It was a book of poetry, her favorite before the change, filled with verses that had brought her solace in her darkest moments. Mr. J watched her, a look of understanding in his eyes. He knew what the glasses meant to her, the connection to her past and her humanity. "Your mother thought you might need these," he said, his voice gentle. "They found them when you transformed. They knew you would find your way to a place where you could use them again." Jennifer looked up at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for keeping these safe for me." Mr. J nodded, his gaze softening. "It's an important part of who you are, Jennifer," he said, his voice gruff. "You should have them." Jennifer picked up the book with renewed excitement, her eyes scanning the pages. The words blurred at first, a reminder of the human sight she had left behind, but as she put on the glasses, the letters snapped into focus. She could read again. It was a simple pleasure, but one that brought her profound joy. Summary 1. Jennifer's mother had included her old glasses in the package, allowing her to regain the ability to read. This small act of kindness connects her to her past and symbolizes the preservation of her humanity. Mr. J's gentle explanation underscores the importance of her personal history, and the act of reading the book of poetry reinforces her connection to her human self. Mr. J watched as she thumbed through the pages, his own thoughts heavy. "Jennifer," he said, his voice gruff but filled with affection, "I know this isn't easy for you, being what you are now. But I want you to know that you are loved, and that we all believe in you." Jennifer looked up, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Thank you," she murmured. "It means a lot." Mr. J cleared his throat, the emotion thick in the air. "There's something else," he said, his voice gruff. He reached into the drawer of the desk and pulled out a well-worn book. This was in the package as well. Jennifer took the book, her eyes widening in recognition. It was her favorite novel, the one she had read countless times as a human. The leather cover was worn, the pages yellowed, but it was the same book she had carried with her through the early days of her transformation. "I can't believe it," she whispered, her heart swelling with emotion. "Thank you, Mr. J." Mr. J's expression softened, his eyes glistening. "Your mother knew how much it meant to you," he said, his voice gruff but filled with understanding. "And the note, it's from your father." Summary 1. Jennifer discovers her favorite novel from her human days in the package, which Mr. J explains was included by her father. This cherished item and her father's note serve as a poignant reminder of her family's love and support, emphasizing the importance of her human past and identity within the camp. Summary 2. Jennifer receives a package from her human family with sentimental items, including her old glasses and a book of poetry. A letter from her mother expresses pride in her new life and encourages her to embrace it, while a note from her father reveals his hope for her to continue reading, symbolizing the fusion of her past and present identities. Jennifer took the note with trembling hands, her eyes scanning the unfamiliar script. The words were a blur at first, but as she put on the glasses, the ink swam into focus. Her father's handwriting, strong and steady, spoke of his pride in her strength and her new role. He had seen her transformation from afar, had watched her become the guardian the camp needed. He urged her to continue down this path, to embrace her new life while never forgetting her human roots. Jennifer felt a tear roll down her cheek, the warmth of the fur wrapping around the package a stark contrast to the cold glass against her skin. She looked up at Mr. J, her vision blurring with emotion. Thank you, she whispered. This means more than you could know. With the book and glasses in hand, Jennifer practically danced out of the office, eager to show Miss J the treasures she had received. The camp bustled with activity, the sounds of laughter and the smell of cooking fires mingling with the crunch of snow beneath her paws. She found Miss J at the training ground, her eyes narrowed in concentration as she practiced her wind control. Miss J. Jennifer called out, her voice filled with excitement. Miss J turned, the wind swirling around her in an intricate dance before dissipating. She took in Jennifer's new accessory with a raised brow. Look what I got. Jennifer held up the glasses with a proud grin, the lenses catching the light and reflecting the vibrant hues of the camp. Summary 1. Jennifer reads her father's letter with the help of her new glasses, which speaks of pride in her transformation and her role as a guardian. Emotionally overwhelmed, she shares her excitement with Miss J, who is impressed by the visual representation of Jennifer's restored human ability to read amidst their cat-like existence. This interaction highlights the camp's blend of new and old lives. Miss J's expression softened as she approached. Your glasses, she said with a knowing smile. They suit you. Jennifer beamed, the joy bubbling out of her. I can read again, she exclaimed, holding up the book. It's like a part of me I thought I had lost is back. Miss J's smile grew as she took the glasses from Jennifer's paw. Let me see, she said, curiosity in her eyes. She placed the frames on her face, the lenses seeming to glow with an inner light as they adjusted to her feline eyesight. Oh, Jennifer, she breathed, these are indeed special. Jennifer watched as Miss J's gaze swept over the camp, the glasses bringing everything into sharp relief. For a moment, she could see the world through her mentor's eyes, the colors more vivid, the details more intricate. It's like looking through a new lens, Miss J murmured, her voice filled with wonder. The camp had grown into a thriving community, a place where those who had been outcasts could find refuge. Jennifer felt a surge of pride as she took in the bustling activity, the laughter, and the camaraderie. It was a stark contrast to the bleakness of the world beyond their borders. Today was special, 2 new campers were arriving, and the anticipation was palpable. The first was Kate, hailing from the distant lands of the USSR, who have wings and take to the sky. The second was May Quinn, whose transformation into a human-cat hybrid mirrored Jennifer's own cat-human hybrid. Summary 1. Jennifer's ability to read with her glasses brings joy and a sense of restored identity. Miss J tries on the glasses, gaining a new perspective on their camp's vibrancy. The arrival of Kate, with her wings, and May, another cat-human, adds excitement and reinforces the camp's role as a haven for those with unique abilities, emphasizing the diversity and unity within their sanctuary. Jennifer's heart raced with excitement as Miss J called everyone to gather around the campfire. The flames danced, casting long shadows across the snowy ground. She watched as 2 figures approached, the crunch of their footsteps growing louder. The first was Kate, her wings folded against her back, a blend of human grace and avian power. The second was May, her feline grace evident as she moved with the confidence of a creature born to hunt. Welcome, Miss J called out, her voice carrying across the camp. We are honored to have you both join us. Kate, her breath misting in the cold air, stepped forward, her wings unfurling slightly in a shiver of nerves. Thank you, she said, her accent thick but earnest. I've traveled a long way to find a place like this. May Quinn, her eyes a piercing green, walked up beside Kate, her tail swishing lazily behind her. I never knew there were others like us, she murmured, her voice filled with a mix of awe and relief. Miss J stepped forward, her fur ruffling in the chilly breeze. You are not alone anymore, she said, her gaze encompassing both newcomers. This camp is a haven for those who have been changed, those who have found power in the most unexpected of forms. Jennifer couldn't help but study May, another feline, like herself, but where Jennifer's movement still held traces of her human clumsiness, May flowed like liquid shadow. There was something unnerving and exhilarating about seeing herself reflected in another. She glanced down at her claws, flexing them against the cold-packed snow. How did you change? Jennifer blurted, then flushed at her own bluntness. Kate looked around, her eyes wide with wonder. The sight of so many transformed individuals, each with their own unique story, was overwhelming. I didn't know. She trailed off, her voice filled with hope. Summary 1. Miss J introduces Kate and May, new campers with winged and feline traits, to the camp's diverse population. The arrivals are met with open arms, emphasizing the camp's mission as a haven for those transformed. Kate and May share their feelings of awe and belonging, highlighting the camp's unifying effect on individuals who previously felt isolated by their differences. Summary 2. Jennifer reads an emotional letter from her father with the help of her new glasses, symbolizing a connection to her human past. Miss J is touched by the sight and tries on the glasses, gaining a new perspective. The camp welcomes Kate with wings and May, another cat human, reinforcing its role as a sanctuary for diverse individuals seeking belonging. Summary 3. Miss J and Jennifer continue strengthening the camp, now welcoming Bunny and others with unique traits, reinforcing their sanctuary role. Jennifer receives sentimental items and a heartfelt letter from her human family, bridging her past and present. Miss J tries on Jennifer's glasses, deepening their bond. The camp expands as Kate and May join, highlighting its growing inclusivity. May Quinn, her ears perked up, took in the sights of the camp with a cautious curiosity. "What is this place?" she asked, her voice a soft purr. "This is our home," Jennifer replied with a warm smile. "A sanctuary for those of us who are different." Kate's gaze drifted skyward, her wings shivering slightly. "I've flown for days, searching for somewhere I could belong," she said, her eyes alight with hope. "I've heard whispers of a place where we can be free." Miss J nodded, her own whiskers twitching with excitement. "And you found it," she said firmly. "Here, you can spread your wings without fear." Kate looked around the camp, her eyes lighting up as she spotted the various structures that catered to the diverse needs of the camp members. There were platforms for those with wings to take flight, tunnels for those more comfortable underground, and trees with carved-out homes for the more arboreal of them. "It's beautiful," she murmured, her wings spreading slightly, as if eager to take to the skies above their new home. May Quinn, on the other hand, remained cautious, her feline eyes darting from one face to another, taking in the assorted mix of animal and human traits. She had never seen anything like it. The scent of so many different creatures was overwhelming, but underneath it all, there was a comforting sense of belonging. Summary 1. Jennifer explains the camp's purpose to May Quinn, and Kate expresses her hope for belonging. The camp's diverse infrastructure, designed for various animal-human hybrids, is revealed, emphasizing its inclusive nature and the freedom it offers. Both newcomers are touched by the sight of a community where they can be themselves without fear, reinforcing the narrative of a safe haven. Miss J took the newcomers on a tour of the camp, showing them the various accommodations and introducing them to the other members. The camp buzzed with excitement at the arrival of the new guardians. Each member offered a warm welcome, eager to hear their stories and learn from their unique perspectives. Kate, a young woman with wings that stretched proudly behind her, had journeyed from the distant lands of the USSR. Her transformation had been both a gift and a curse, granting her the freedom of the skies but also leaving her a target for those who feared the unknown. She spoke of the long, solitary flight that had brought her here, her wings carrying her over desolate landscapes and treacherous seas. May Quinn, a cat-human hybrid much like Jennifer, had traveled from the bustling streets of New York City. Her transformation had been recent, and she still bore the scars of her former life. Her eyes held a quiet strength, hinting at the trials she had faced in a world that had suddenly turned against her. The camp grew more bustling with each new arrival, and the need for a formal education system grew apparent. Miss J and Mr. J knew that these new guardians would need to not only survive but thrive in this brave new world. They set about establishing a school within the camp, one that would teach not only the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic, but also the intricacies of their unique abilities. Summary 1. Miss J tours Kate and May around the camp, introducing them to the diverse residents. Kate shares her journey from the USSR, highlighting the struggles she faced due to her winged nature. Recognizing the growing need for education, Miss J and Mr. J decide to establish a school within the camp to help new guardians understand and control their powers, reflecting the evolving nature of the sanctuary into a more structured and supportive environment. The school was a patchwork of natural materials, blending seamlessly into the surrounding forest. The walls were made of interwoven branches, the floor a soft carpet of moss, and the roof a tapestry of leaves and fur. It was a place where the camp's children could learn and grow in an environment that nurtured both their human and animal instincts. Miss J and Mr. J worked tirelessly to assemble a curriculum that would serve the diverse needs of their students. They recruited Luna and Tom to help, their own experiences with self-discovery and power mastery invaluable to the school's creation. Together, they crafted lessons that taught not only the ABCs and 123s but also the art of controlling the wind, the secrets of the forest, and the strength within. The school days began with the rise of the sun, the camp's children, young and old, gathering eagerly around the campfire that served as their central classroom. The lessons were as varied as the camp's inhabitants, with some learning to harness the power of their new forms while others practiced reading and writing with paws and claws that had once known only the feel of a keyboard. Summary 1. The school, built from natural materials, becomes a learning hub for the camp's hybrid children, blending traditional academics with lessons tailored to their unique abilities. Miss J, Mr. J, Luna, and Tom develop a curriculum that teaches both basic subjects and the mastery of their animalistic powers. The students embrace their lessons eagerly, learning to navigate their newfound abilities while adapting to their transformed bodies. Summary 2. Miss J introduces Kate and May to the camp's diverse community, showcasing its inclusive infrastructure. Recognizing the need for structured guidance, Miss J and Mr. J establish a hybrid school where children learn academics alongside mastering their unique abilities. The students enthusiastically embrace lessons tailored to their transformations, reinforcing the camp's role as a supportive sanctuary. Miss J stood at the forefront, her eyes gleaming with the passion of an educator. She had always been a leader, but now she was a mentor as well, guiding those who had been cast out of the world they knew into a new reality filled with wonder and danger. With a flick of her tail, she called the assembly to order. Today, she announced, her voice carrying the authority of experience, we shall learn the ancient art of tracking. The camp's children, a mix of fur, feathers, and scales, leaned in eagerly. They knew that the skills they learned here would serve them not only in the camp but also in the vast wilderness that lay beyond its borders. Jennifer watched from the sidelines, her own journey of discovery still fresh in her mind. She knew the value of these lessons, the way they had transformed her from a lost soul into a respected member of the community. Miss J began the lesson by explaining the importance of observation and patience, the very essence of the hunt. She demonstrated how to read the signs left behind by animals, her nose twitching as she sniffed the air, her eyes scanning the ground for any disturbance in the snow. The students mimicked her actions, their various senses heightened by their unique transformations. Summary 1. Miss J leads a lesson on tracking, emphasizing observation and patience as core skills. The hybrid students eagerly absorb her teachings, recognizing the practical value of these abilities beyond the camp. Jennifer reflects on her own growth, witnessing the transformative power of education in shaping the camp's community and preparing them for survival in the wild. In the forest, the children split into small groups, each led by an experienced member of the camp. Jennifer found herself paired with May Quinn, the newcomer with a similar feline grace. Together, they stalked through the underbrush, their eyes searching for any clue that would lead them to their quarry. May's eyesight was remarkable, picking out details that would have been invisible to the untrained eye. "Look here," May whispered, pointing to a set of faint paw prints in the snow. "They're fresh. A rabbit, I think." Jennifer's eyes narrowed as she studied the prints. "Good catch," she murmured, her instincts as a catwoman flaring to life. "Let's follow them." The two set off, moving silently through the snow. Their shared feline grace allowed them to move almost invisibly, leaving only the barest trace of their passage. They tracked the rabbit through the forest, their hearts pounding in their chests with each new clue. The thrill of the hunt was intoxicating, a reminder of their shared heritage and the power that came with it. Back at the camp, the school buzzed with activity. Miss J had assigned each group a different set of tracks to follow, and the children raced through the woods, eager to show off their newfound skills. The air was filled with the sounds of their excitement and the occasional hushed whisper of strategy. Summary: 1. Jennifer and May Quinn team up during a tracking exercise, following fresh rabbit prints with feline precision. Their silent, coordinated movements highlight their shared feline abilities and growing bond. Meanwhile, the camp school thrives with activity, as students enthusiastically practice their tracking skills under Miss J's watchful eye. The school days grew longer as the winter sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows through the trees. Inside the makeshift classroom, the warmth of the campfire and the glow of candles chased away the chill. Miss J, Mr. J, and the other teachers worked tirelessly, sharing their knowledge and guiding the students through the intricacies of their hybrid forms. The curriculum was as diverse as the camp's population. Some days were dedicated to mastering the basics of their animal abilities, while others focused on honing their human skills. The children learned to read and write with a mix of claws and fingers, their eyesight adapted to see in the dark, their hearing tuned to the whispers of the forest. They studied the stars with Bunny, whose rabbit instincts allowed her to sense the subtle changes in the night sky, and listened raptly as Luna and Tom recounted tales of their adventures, teaching them about teamwork and the power of their new identities. Miss J was particularly adept at teaching the art of controlling the elements. She would stand at the center of the camp, her long hairs ruffling in the breeze, and show the children how to manipulate the wind. They would all practice together, their laughter echoing through the trees as gusts of air danced around them, lifting leaves and sending snowflakes swirling. Jennifer watched with a sense of pride, her heart swelling as she saw the same wonder and excitement in their eyes that she had once felt. Summary: 1. The camp's hybrid school thrives in winter, blending lessons on animal abilities with human skills. Students learn diverse subjects, from celestial navigation with Bunny to teamwork from Luna and Tom, while Miss J teaches elemental control, inspiring joy and confidence in their transformations. Jennifer observes with pride, reflecting on her own journey through the children's growing mastery and enthusiasm. Summary: 2. Miss J teaches hybrid students tracking skills, reinforcing practical survival abilities. Jennifer and May Quinn bond during an exercise, showcasing their feline coordination. The school thrives with diverse lessons, blending animal instincts and human knowledge, while Jennifer reflects on the transformative impact of education on the camp's evolving community. Mr. J focused on the more physical aspects of their education. His lessons often involved sparring and target practice, ensuring that every member of the camp could protect themselves if the need arose. His booming voice could be heard across the training grounds, guiding the students through exercises that would build their strength and coordination. The thwack of wood on wood and the thud of bodies hitting the ground were a constant reminder of the seriousness of their situation. Bunny, with her keen senses, took charge of the survival classes. She taught them how to navigate the forest without leaving a trace, how to find food and water, and how to stay warm in the harsh winter months. Her gentle demeanor and patience made her a natural with the younger students, who adored her and hung on her every word. Luna and Tom, having faced their own battles with the wolf pack, became the camp's self-defense instructors. They taught the art of combat and strategy, drawing from their own experiences to prepare the others for the dangers that lurked outside the camp's borders. Their lessons were intense and challenging, pushing each student to find their inner strength and unity. Summary: 1. Mr. J leads rigorous physical training, emphasizing strength and combat readiness, while Bunny teaches survival skills with patience and warmth. Luna and Tom, drawing from their wolf pack encounter, instruct in self-defense, fostering resilience and strategic thinking among the camp's members, ensuring everyone is prepared for external threats. One evening, as the campfire flickered against the darkening sky, Miss J and Jennifer sat together, watching the students practice their newly learned skills. The scent of pine mingled with the crisp winter air as Jennifer leaned against Miss J, her tail flicking lazily. "They're learning so fast," Jennifer murmured, her voice soft with pride. "Better than I did at first." Miss J chuckled, her fingers tracing circles in Jennifer's fur. "You were too busy flirting with me to focus," she teased, earning a playful nip on her shoulder. The days grew shorter, and the nights grew colder, but the warmth of the campfire and the camaraderie of the campers kept spirits high. As they gathered around the flames, sharing their newfound knowledge, stories of their human lives began to weave themselves into the fabric of campfire lore. Jennifer sat cross-legged beside May, her glasses perched on her nose as they listened to Luna recount a tale of a fierce storm she had once encountered. "The winds howled like a pack of wolves," Luna said, her eyes closed, her voice low and haunting. "But I found my power, and I tamed them." The campfire crackled, casting shadows on the faces of the listeners, each one lost in their own thoughts. Jennifer felt a shiver run down her spine, not from the cold but from the intensity of the story. It was a stark reminder of the power that now lay within them all, a gift that could be both terrifying and liberating. Summary: 1. Jennifer and Miss J bond over their pride in the students' rapid progress, reminiscing about their own journey while sharing warmth by the fire. Luna captivates the camp with a story of harnessing her power during a storm, stirring awe and reflection among the listeners, including Jennifer, who contemplates the dual nature of their newfound abilities. May leaned in closer to Jennifer, her green eyes reflecting the flickering flames. "I've never heard of anyone doing that," she whispered. "Controlling the wind like that." Jennifer nodded, her eyes on the dancing fire. "Miss J is incredible," she murmured. "But she's not the only one. We all have our own stories, our own powers." May's gaze searched Jennifer's face, curiosity lighting her eyes. "What's your story?" Jennifer took a deep breath, her tail swishing thoughtfully. "It's a long one," she began, "but it started with a strange transformation, much like your own." She recounted her journey from a lost girl to the camp's respected guardian, her voice growing stronger with each word. She spoke of her struggle to accept her new form, the fear of rejection, and the ultimate discovery of her true purpose. May listened, her eyes never leaving Jennifer's. "You've come so far," she murmured, her voice filled with admiration. I'm still trying to understand who I am now." Jennifer reached out and placed a comforting hand on May's shoulder. "You will," she assured her. "We all have our moments of doubt, but you're not alone anymore." The camp grew quieter as the night deepened, the only sounds the crackle of the fire and the distant howl of the wind. Jennifer felt a profound sense of belonging as she looked around at the faces of her friends and fellow guardians. Despite their differences, they had all found a home here. Summary: 1. May expresses awe at the camp's abilities, prompting Jennifer to share her transformation story, her fears, acceptance, and eventual purpose, as May grapples with her own identity. Jennifer reassures her, emphasizing their shared journey and the support within the camp, solidifying their bond as the firelight and wind underscore their sense of belonging. As the stories wound down, Miss J stood and stretched, her fur ruffling. "Tomorrow," she announced, her eyes gleaming with excitement, "we will take our training to the next level. We must be ready to face any challenge that comes our way." A murmur of anticipation rippled through the camp. The children couldn't wait to see what the next day would bring, their imaginations running wild with the possibilities. Jennifer felt the same thrill, despite having faced so much already. There was always more to learn, more to become. The next day dawned cold and crisp, the snow glittering in the early light. Miss J called them to the training ground, her eyes alight with excitement. "Today," she announced, "we shall learn the art of unity. Together, our powers are stronger than the sum of their parts." The campers paired up, eager to test their abilities. Jennifer and May found themselves standing before Luna and Tom, who nodded at them with encouragement. "Remember," Luna said, her eyes serious, "it's not just about your individual strength. It's about working together." Miss J explained the exercise. They would face a series of challenges that would require them to combine their powers in unison. The first was a large boulder that needed to be moved. Jennifer's eyes narrowed as she studied the rock, her tail swishing with determination. "May, can you help me push?" she asked, and together, they dug their paws into the snow and pushed with all their might. Summary: 1. Miss J announces advanced training for the next day, sparking anticipation among the campers. The following morning, she emphasizes unity and collective strength, pairing students for collaborative challenges. Jennifer and May team up against Luna and Tom, tackling their first task, moving a boulder, by combining their feline strength, embodying the camp's focus on teamwork. Summary: 2. Mr. J and Bunny train camp members in combat and survival, while Luna and Tom teach self-defense, preparing them for threats. Jennifer and Miss J reflect on the students' progress, sharing stories around the fire, including Luna's storm survival tale. May questions her identity, but Jennifer reassures her, strengthening their bond. The next day, Miss J pairs students for collaborative tasks, with Jennifer and May successfully working together to move a boulder. Summary 3. Miss J integrates Kate and May into camp life, establishing a hybrid school where students learn academics alongside mastering their abilities. Jennifer bonds with May Quinn, showcasing feline coordination, while Mr. J and Bunny teach combat and survival. Luna shares stories of resilience, and Jennifer reassures May about her identity. The students collaborate successfully in practical exercises. Summary 4. Jennifer settles into camp life, forming a deep bond with Miss J while the logging camp transforms into a sanctuary for those with unique abilities. Their leadership is tested when a wolf pack attacks, but they prevail, reinforcing the camp's safety. Newcomers like Bunny, Kate, and May join, expanding the community. Jennifer receives emotional closure from her human family, and her relationship with Miss J grows stronger. The camp evolves further as Miss J establishes a hybrid school, blending academics with skill development, where Jennifer mentors May and others thrive under collaborative teaching. To their amazement, the boulder began to budge, inch by inch. The power of their combined strength was immense, and the other campers watched in awe as they worked in perfect harmony. Their muscles strained, and the veins in their necks bulged, but the boulder continued to move. With a final heave, the rock was dislodged, revealing a hidden cave beneath it. The children cheered, their excitement echoing through the forest. Miss J nodded in approval, a proud smile on her lips. "Very good," she said, her voice filled with satisfaction. "Now, let's see how well you can work together in the next challenge." The second task involved the use of their senses to find a hidden path through the dense underbrush. Miss J had scattered various scents and sounds to lead them, and they had to rely on their heightened abilities to detect the correct trail. Kate took to the skies, her sharp eyes searching for any sign of the path from above, while May and Jennifer moved with the grace of cats, their whiskers twitching as they listened for the faintest of whispers. The challenge was not easy, but as they worked together, they found a rhythm. Kate's wings beat the air, creating a gentle current that carried the scents to May and Jennifer's sensitive nostrils. They moved as one, their tails flicking in unison as they honed in on the target. It was a dance of instinct and intelligence, a blend of their human minds and animal senses. Summary 1. Jennifer and May successfully moved the boulder, revealing a hidden cave and earning Miss J's praise. In the next challenge, Kate, May, and Jennifer combined their senses, Kate's aerial view, Jennifer and May's feline instincts, to navigate a hidden path, demonstrating seamless teamwork as they blend human intelligence with animal abilities. The hidden path grew clearer, and soon they were navigating the dense foliage with ease. The campers watched from the sidelines, their eyes wide with amazement at the seamless teamwork of the four guardians. It was a sight that filled their hearts with hope and pride. The final challenge of the day was a simulated battle against a pack of wooden wolf cutouts. Miss J had designed the training ground to resemble the terrain where they had faced the real threat, a stark reminder of the dangers they could face. The campers were divided into teams, each with a mix of abilities and strengths. Jennifer and May found themselves with Luna and Tom, their eyes alight with determination. The exercise began with a howl from Miss J, signaling the start of the mock battle. The wooden wolves were placed at various strategic points around the clearing, and the teams had to navigate the terrain and take them down. Luna's eyes grew sharp, and she pointed to the nearest cutout. "May, you take the high ground," she instructed, "use your eyesight to spot any movement. Jennifer, keep close to the trees, and watch our flank." Jennifer nodded, understanding the strategy. The four of them spread out, moving in silent unity. As they approached the first wolf, Tom lunged forward, his newfound agility allowing him to knock it over with ease. "Good work," Jennifer whispered, a hint of pride in her voice. Summary 1. Jennifer, May, Luna, and Tom lead the campers through the final challenge, a simulated wolf pack battle, using strategic teamwork. Luna directs May to scout from above while Jennifer guards their flank, and Tom swiftly takes down the first wooden wolf. Their coordination and trust in each other's abilities ensure their success, reinforcing the camp's unity and preparedness for real threats. They moved on to the next, working together flawlessly. Luna's control of the wind helped them avoid detection, while Kate's sharp eyes spotted any movement from above. Jennifer and May used their cat-like reflexes to dart between the trees, taking out the cutouts swiftly and efficiently. As they approached the final wolf, a twig snapped underfoot, alerting the others. The remaining campers watched in suspense as the four guardians sprang into action. Jennifer leaped from her hiding spot, knocking the wolf down with a fierce swipe of her claw. May followed closely, her feline grace allowing her to land silently, while Kate dove from the sky, her wings fluttering to add momentum to her attack. Tom took the lead, charging the last few feet to the final wooden opponent. His newfound strength, honed through weeks of rigorous training, served him well. With a roar, he tackled the wolf, sending it flying into a nearby bush. The camp erupted into cheers and applause, the tension of the exercise giving way to a collective sense of triumph. Miss J watched her students with a proud smile. "Today, you have shown what true unity can achieve," she said, her voice carrying across the clearing. "You have faced your fears and worked as a pack. Remember, this is not just for games, but for the day when the real danger returns." Summary: 1. Luna, Kate, Jennifer, May, and Tom flawlessly eliminate the remaining wooden wolves, combining Luna's wind control, Kate's aerial scouting, Jennifer and May's feline agility, and Tom's brute strength. Their coordinated efforts culminate in a triumphant finale as Tom tackles the last wolf, earning cheers from the campers. Miss J praises their unity, emphasizing the importance of teamwork against future threats. Summary: 2. Jennifer and May uncover a cave after moving a boulder, impressing Miss J. In subsequent challenges, Kate, Jennifer, and May combine aerial and feline abilities to navigate obstacles, while Luna and Tom join them in a simulated wolf battle. Their strategic teamwork, using scouting, agility, and brute strength, secures victory, reinforcing the camp's unity and readiness. Miss J celebrates their collective success, highlighting the power of collaboration. The campers nodded solemnly, understanding the gravity of her words. The camp had become their sanctuary, but the outside world was vast and unpredictable. They knew they would need to rely on each other to survive. The days grew shorter, and the nights grew colder, but the camp remained a beacon of warmth and safety. The school continued to thrive, with new students arriving each week. Jennifer found joy in teaching them the lessons she had learned, her heart swelling with pride as she watched them grow. One evening, as the campfire cast a warm glow over the gathered community, Miss J called for a special meeting. She had news that would change their lives forever. "My friends," she began, her eyes scanning the faces of the campers, "we have been contacted by others like us." The campers looked at each other in amazement, whispers of excitement passing through the group. Miss J held up a hand to silence them. "They have a camp of their own, not far from here, and they wish to form an alliance." The revelation was met with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. An alliance meant more protection, more resources, and a stronger community. But it also meant opening their doors to outsiders, potentially bringing new challenges and risks. Jennifer felt the weight of the decision on her shoulders, knowing that their peaceful existence could be forever changed by this newfound connection. Summary: 1. Miss J reveals to the campers that another group of hybrids has reached out, proposing an alliance. While the idea brings excitement, the campers also feel apprehension about the potential risks of merging communities. Jennifer contemplates the impact on their peaceful existence, recognizing that this alliance could reshape their sanctuary, for better or worse. Miss J went on to explain that the other camp had faced similar struggles and had built a thriving community of their own. They had heard about the sanctuary's success and were eager to learn from each other and support one another. The camp buzzed with the prospect of meeting others who understood their plight, who had undergone transformations just like them. The decision to form an alliance was not made lightly. There were concerns about maintaining their independence and the potential for conflict with unfamiliar faces. Yet, the allure of a larger, stronger community was undeniable. After much discussion and contemplation, it was agreed that a delegation would be sent to meet with the other camp, Miss J, Jennifer, Luna, and Tom. Each would represent their people's strengths, leadership, adaptability, unity, and resilience. The day before their departure, Miss J organized a joint training session to ensure their readiness. The camp's training grounds buzzed with activity as mixed groups paired up, some sparring, others practicing stealth maneuvers. Jennifer found herself paired with May Quinn, their feline instincts syncing effortlessly as they navigated an obstacle course of fallen logs and dense thickets. Their movements were fluid, almost choreographed, a testament to their growing bond. Summary 1. Miss J elaborates on the proposed alliance, detailing the shared struggles and strengths of the neighboring camp. Despite concerns about losing independence, the camp agrees to send Miss J, Jennifer, Luna, and Tom as representatives to negotiate. Before departure, Miss J organizes a joint training session, where Jennifer and May Quinn excel in navigating an obstacle course together, showcasing their seamless feline coordination and deepening bond. Then it happened. May lunged sideways to avoid a swinging rope trap, her reflexes kicking in a fraction faster than Jennifer's. Reacting on pure instinct, Jennifer twisted to follow, and instead of colliding with the log ahead, she passed through it. The sensation was electric, a split-second rush of weightlessness, her body dissolving into mist before reforming on the other side. She staggered, paws skidding in the snow, her breath coming in sharp gasps. May froze mid-step, her golden eyes wide. "Did you just?" Jennifer stared at her own trembling claws. The log stood solid behind her, utterly undisturbed. "I think," she whispered, "I just walked through wood." May's whiskers twitched violently. She circled Jennifer like a cat assessing prey, except her pupils were blown wide with awe, not hunger. "Do it again." Jennifer swallowed hard. She pressed a shaking paw against the log, then gasped as bark crumbled beneath her touch. "I can't, it's not," her protest died as her claws sank through the wood like mist parting around stone. A cold tingle raced up her arm, her fur standing on end as molecules rearranged. When she yanked back, her paw emerged dry and intact. May pounced, pinning Jennifer's shoulders with sudden urgency. "Focus." Her breath smelled of fresh kill and excitement. "Whatever you're doing, control it." Jennifer's pulse hammered against May's grip. She closed her eyes, imagining her skin dissolving. Summary 1. Jennifer accidentally discovers a new ability, phasing through solid objects, when training with May Quinn. Startled, she repeats the feat with May's encouragement, tentatively pressing her paw through a log. May pins her down, urging her to focus and control the newfound power, as Jennifer attempts to consciously replicate the phenomenon. Summary 2. Miss J announces a potential alliance with another hybrid group, sparking mixed reactions. Jennifer considers the implications, while Miss J details the neighboring camp strengths. Despite concerns, the group agrees to send representatives, Miss J, Jennifer, Luna, and Tom, to negotiate. In preparation, Jennifer and May Quinn train together, revealing Jennifer's newfound ability to phase through objects with May's guidance. And screamed as May's claws tore through her chest without resistance. Both women collapsed into the snow, May frantically checking her paws for blood that wasn't there. "Holy shit," May whispered, tail bristling. "You're like smoke." Jennifer stared at the gaping hole in her sweater where May's claws had passed clean through. A strange pins and needles sensation prickled across her skin as her molecules snapped back into place. Nearby logs muffled the commotion. Luna and Tom were too busy wrestling a practice dummy to notice their discovery. May's ears flattened against her skull. "Do it again," she hissed, tail lashing. This time Jennifer focused on the memory of that weightless rush, the way her bones had turned to vapor mid-motion. She stepped toward a towering oak and pushed. Bark dissolved beneath her palms like rotten fruit. Jennifer's breath hitched as frigid sap droplets kissed her fur before she emerged, shivering, on the other side. Miss J's scent hit Jennifer's nose before her voice did. "Well," came the husky murmur from the tree line, "that's new." She leaned against a birch, arms crossed beneath her chest. Pine needles clung to her sweater where she'd clearly sprinted through the undergrowth. Jennifer's tail puffed at the realization Miss J had seen. May scrambled upright, ears twitching toward distant shouts from the training grounds. She phased, May blurted, claws needing air. Straight through solid wood like. Summary 1. Jennifer successfully phases through May's claws without injury, shocking them both. She repeats the feat, now intentionally walking through an oak tree while May watches eagerly. Miss J arrives, having witnessed the display, prompting May to excitedly explain Jennifer's newfound phasing ability, something no one else in the camp has ever demonstrated. I saw. Miss J's tail lashed once before stilling. She stepped closer, nostrils flaring as she inhaled Jennifer's scent, sharp with adrenaline, tinged with ozone. Can you still feel it? Her fingers hovered over Jennifer's forearm, not touching. That looseness? Jennifer flexed her claws. The world blurred at the edges, not like her cat vision, but as if reality itself had gone soft. It's like. She swallowed hard. Like my skin's full of bees. Miss J's pupils dilated. Without warning, she grabbed Jennifer's wrist and yanked her toward the nearest tree. May hissed in protest, but Miss J ignored her. Do it again, she ordered, pressing Jennifer's palm flush against the trunk. Before the fear kicks in. Jennifer's claws flexed instinctively. The bark prickled against her pads, solid, unyielding, until she remembered that weightless plunge. Her fingers twitched. Then her entire hand melted into the wood like ink soaking into parchment. Miss J's breath hitched. Gods below. Her grip tightened, not painfully, but with the fervor of someone clutching a miracle. The legend spoke of warriors who could step through shadows as if they were doors. Her thumb traced the border where Jennifer's wrist vanished into the tree, her voice dropping to a reverent whisper. They called them dusk striders. Summary 1. Miss J interrogates Jennifer about her phasing ability, asking if she can still feel the sensation. Jennifer describes it as her skin feeling full of bees. Miss J forcibly guides Jennifer's hand against a tree, urging her to phase again before fear sets in. When Jennifer succeeds, Miss J reveals the ability aligns with ancient legends of warriors called dusk striders, who could move through shadows as if they were doorways. Jennifer yanked her hand free with a wet pop, wood fibers clinging to her fur like cobwebs before dissolving into mist. The world swayed, not just from exhaustion, but from the weight of Miss J's words. You're saying I'm, what, some kind of ghost? Her claws dug into her own thigh just to feel the bite of reality. Miss J's tail twitched in slow arcs, her gaze distant. Not ghost. Walker. She traced a claw along the tree's bark where Jennifer's fingers had vanished. The old stories say dusk striders could step between worlds like passing through a curtain. Her voice dropped lower. But the last one disappeared centuries ago. Hunted. May's ears flicked toward distant laughter from the training grounds. So why now? Her claws unsheathed reflexively. Why her? Miss J's pupils dilated into vertical slits as she pressed Jennifer's hand against the tree again, this time palm up. Because the veil's thinning. She traced the blue veins beneath Jennifer's fur, her voice dropping to a growl. Feel that? Like static before lightning? Jennifer's claws spasmed as the sensation hit, not just the prickling bees under her skin now, but a deep, resonant hum vibrating through her bones. The tree's shadow stretched unnaturally long across the snow, its edges wavering like heat haze. Summary 1. Jennifer reacts with disbelief to Miss J's revelation about dusk striders, pulling her hand from the tree and questioning if she's ghost-like. Miss J clarifies the ability's legendary nature, explaining dusk striders could traverse worlds but were hunted to extinction. May questions why Jennifer manifests the power now, prompting Miss J to reveal the veil between worlds is thinning, a fact Jennifer confirms by feeling an ominous resonance in her bones and witnessing the tree's shadow distort unnaturally. Summary 2. Jennifer masters her phasing ability, astonishing May and Miss J by walking through an oak tree. Miss J connects the ability to ancient dusk striders, shadow-walking warriors believed extinct, and reveals the veil between worlds is weakening. Jennifer confirms this by sensing an ominous resonance and witnessing unnatural shadow distortions, hinting at a looming, otherworldly threat. Summary 3. Jennifer and May discover a cave and excel in simulated battles, showcasing the camp's growing teamwork. Miss J proposes an alliance with another hybrid group, prompting Jennifer's group to prepare for negotiations. During training, Jennifer unlocks shadow-walking abilities tied to ancient Duskstriders, alarming Miss J when she senses distortions in reality. This hints at a dangerous, emerging threat tied to the weakening veil between worlds. Miss J's grip tightened, her breath frosting in the sudden chill between them. "The veil between worlds," she murmured, pressing Jennifer's fingertips deeper into the bark until the wood swallowed them to the second knuckle. Jen, her eyes wide with excitement, pointed out the window of the cozy camp office. Mr. J, a middle-aged man with a weathered face that told tales of countless campfires and nights spent under the stars, turned to look. Jennifer was indeed there, perched atop a wooden cox in the distance. Her once human body now adorned with sleek fur and a tail that swished behind her, she sat with an eerie grace that made her resemble a giant feline rather than the young camper they had all known. Her eyes, now a piercing yellow, locked onto Mr. J as she leaped down from her wooden throne. The ground beneath her paws barely quivered, showcasing an agility that was unmistakably feline. She approached, each step a silent purr against the earth, as the campers and staff looked on in astonishment. Her voice, though altered, retained the sweetness Jen had always had. "Hi, Mr. J," she greeted, her mouth moving in a way that was both human and cat-like. Mr. J stared at her, his jaw hanging slightly. Jennifer?" he managed to ask, his voice wavering with shock and disbelief. The camp owner, Jen, stepped forward, her eyes narrowing in confusion. "What on earth, or perhaps I should say, what on the moon, happened to you?" Summary 1. Miss J deepens her grip on Jennifer's hand as she discusses the thinning veil between worlds. Meanwhile, Jen spots Jennifer outside the camp office, now a striking feline-human hybrid, perched atop a wooden cox with uncanny grace. Jennifer leaps down silently, her yellow eyes locking onto Mr. J before approaching with feline poise, her voice retaining traces of her former self. Mr. J stammers in shock, while Jen steps forward, bewildered, questioning what supernatural force transformed her. Jennifer's whiskers twitched as she offered a small smile, her teeth sharp and pointed. "It's the strangest thing, Mr. J," she began, her voice still tinged with the same innocence they all knew so well. "Remember the science experiment we did last week with the local wildlife DNA? Well, it seems like my DNA got a bit mixed up with a cat's." She gestured to her fur-covered form with a paw-like hand. Mr. J took a step back, his eyes scanning her from head to tail. But how?" he stuttered, trying to piece together the bizarre transformation before him. Jennifer shrugged, her fur ruffling slightly. "I don't know all the details, but it was definitely something from the experiment. One minute I was me, and the next." She paused, her tail swishing thoughtfully. "Well, you see me now. I'm still Jen, though," she reassured them, her voice a gentle purr. Mr. J, his shock slowly morphing into concern, approached her. "Are you okay, Jennifer?" He reached out a hand, unsure if he should touch her new form. She nodded, her whiskers quivering. I'm still me. It's just that now, I have these instincts, and these senses." She leaned closer, her nose twitching. "I can smell everything so clearly. And I can hear the smallest sounds from miles away." The camp owner, Jen, stepped closer, curiosity overtaking her initial bewilderment. "How did this happen? What kind of experiment was it?" Summary 1. Jennifer explains her feline transformation resulted from a science experiment involving local wildlife DNA, though she remains uncertain about the exact details. Mr. J struggles to comprehend, cautiously reaching out as she reassures him she's still fundamentally herself, just with heightened feline senses and instincts. Jen, the camp owner, presses for specifics about the experiment, intrigued by the phenomenon despite her initial shock. Jennifer's smile grew a little wider, revealing more of her feline nature. It was a simple DNA extraction and mixing project, she explained, her voice still a mesmerizing purr. But something went haywire. Instead of just analyzing the samples, it seems like some of the cat DNA merged with mine. She paused, her tail curling around her legs in a way that was both comforting and eerie. I woke up this morning feeling different. My body had changed overnight. Mr. J's eyes searched her face for any signs of distress, but all he saw was a strange sort of contentment. Does it hurt? He finally asked. Jennifer's head tilted to the side, a classic cat-like gesture. No, it doesn't hurt. It's just weird. But I'm okay. Mr. J, the camp owner, rubbed her chin thoughtfully. This isn't something we can just ignore, Jennifer. Jennifer nodded, her fur glistening in the early morning light. I know, she said. But I don't want anyone to be scared of me. I'm still the same person inside. Mr. J took a deep breath, his gaze lingering on the feline figure before him. This camp, he began, his voice steady, is for those who are different, those who have experienced things beyond the ordinary. It's a place where we can all be ourselves, no matter how unique our circumstances. The camp owner, Mr. J, nodded in agreement. You're still welcome here, Jennifer. Summary 1. Jennifer elaborates that her transformation occurred when a routine DNA experiment malfunctioned, merging cat DNA with her own overnight. Mr. J checks for signs of distress, but she reassures him she's adapting well despite the oddity. Mr. J emphasizes the camp's inclusive philosophy, affirming Jennifer still belongs despite her hybrid form. The camp owner echoes his sentiment, reinforcing their acceptance. Summary 2. Jennifer encounters Mr. J and Jen, the camp owner, startling them with her feline hybrid form. She explains her transformation resulted from a DNA experiment mishap involving cat DNA, though specifics remain unclear. Despite their shock, Mr. J reassures her of her place in the camp, while Jen expresses intrigue over the phenomenon. The camp, known as the Clearing, had a reputation for welcoming those who didn't fit the mold of society. It was a sanctuary for the peculiar, the gifted, and the misunderstood. As the morning grew brighter, the whispers of the campers grew louder, curiosity and excitement replacing their initial fear. The clearing was no stranger to strange occurrences, but this was something else entirely. The day you came here as Arthur, Mr. J began, his voice a mix of wonder and concern, you were just a boy looking for answers. And now, as Jennifer, you found a new part of yourself. Jennifer, or Arthur as he was once known, nodded solemnly. He had arrived at the clearing just this year, a shy and withdrawn child with a penchant for the mysteries of science. His transformation was as unexpected as it was dramatic. It's like I've been living in a cocoon, Arthur's new feline voice echoed, and now I've emerged as something entirely new. Miss J, the camp's biologist and the one who had overseen the DNA experiment, hurried over, her eyes wide with a mix of shock and fascination. She had noticed Arthur's unquenchable thirst for knowledge, but never had she anticipated this outcome. "Ar. Jennifer," she stammered, still trying to wrap her head around the situation, "I had no idea the DNA pop would have such a profound effect that is permanent." Summary 1. The Clearing, a sanctuary for outsiders, reacts to Jennifer's feline transformation. Arthur, once a reserved boy, arrived seeking answers and now embraces his hybrid identity. Miss J, the biologist overseeing the DNA experiment, expresses shock at the irreversible results, acknowledging Jennifer's unexpected metamorphosis. The campers, accustomed to oddities, shift from fear to fascination as Jennifer accepts her new existence. Jennifer, or Arthur as he was known before, took a graceful step forward, his movements now a harmonious blend of human and feline. "I guess I'm the first successful case of human-to-cat transformation," he said, a hint of amusement in his purr. Miss J's eyes searched his, looking for any sign of regret or distress, but all she saw was a spark of curiosity and excitement. As the days turned into weeks, the campers and staff grew accustomed to their new furry member. Jennifer adapted quickly to her new life, her heightened senses and agility making her an invaluable asset to the camp's daily activities. She could hear whispers from across the campfire, catch the scent of approaching wildlife before anyone else, and scale trees with ease. Despite her otherworldly appearance, she remained the same kind and inquisitive soul they had all come to know. Miss J, Jennifer's friend, couldn't help but feel a strange kinship with Jennifer. Miss J's initial shock had given way to fascination, and she found herself spending more and more time with the young Catwoman. Jennifer's curiosity about her new existence mirrored Miss J's own passion for unraveling the mysteries of life. Summary 1. Over time, Jennifer embraces her feline abilities, enhanced senses, agility, and climbing prowess, becoming integral to camp life while retaining her kind personality. Miss J transitions from shock to fascination, bonding with Jennifer over shared curiosity about her hybrid nature. The camp fully integrates Jennifer, valuing her contributions as she thrives in her new form. As the leaves began to turn, Jennifer's instincts grew stronger. The scent of the changing seasons called to her, and she found herself drawn to the deepest parts of the forest surrounding the clearing. Her night vision was impeccable, and she could navigate the underbrush with a grace that left no trace of her passing. It was during these nocturnal excursions that she discovered a hidden path, long overgrown and forgotten by time. Her heightened hearing picked up whispers of the wind, carrying tales of the camp's past. It spoke of ancient rituals and forgotten lore, of campers who had come before her, each with their own extraordinary stories. Jennifer felt a burning curiosity to uncover these secrets, and her newfound agility allowed her to reach places no human could. The camp was abuzz with preparations for closing week. The crunch of leaves underfoot and the crackle of the campfire grew more pronounced as the days grew shorter. Mr. J gathered everyone around the flickering flames one evening. As the seasons turn, we must also prepare for change, he announced. But before we say our goodbyes, there's something important we must address. He looked at Jennifer, his gaze warm and sincere. With winter approaching, the clearing needs someone to stay behind, to keep an eye on the place, to ensure its safety. Summary 1. Jennifer's heightened feline senses lead her to discover a hidden forest path and rumors of the camp's forgotten history as autumn arrives. With closing week approaching, Mr. J announces the need for a caretaker to oversee the clearing during winter, subtly hinting at Jennifer's potential role given her unique abilities. The camp buzzes with anticipation as Jennifer contemplates her connection to the land and its mysteries. Summary 2. Jennifer fully embraces her feline hybrid identity, adapting to her enhanced senses and agility while gaining acceptance from the clearing's campers. Miss J transitions from shock to scientific fascination, bonding with Jennifer over her unique condition. Jennifer's feline abilities help uncover hidden paths and forgotten camp lore, positioning her as a candidate for winter caretaker, a role hinted at by Mr. J as autumn ends. Jennifer's heart quickened. The thought of being alone in the vast woods, surrounded by the whispers of the wind and the secrets of the land, was both terrifying and exhilarating. She had grown so much since her transformation, but the prospect of facing the harsh winter as a creature of the night was a challenge she hadn't anticipated. She glanced around the circle of faces, some filled with envy, others with worry, but she knew that she was the most capable of handling the solitude. "I'll do it," she said, her voice strong and steady, the fire casting a warm glow on her fur. Miss J looked at her with a mix of pride and concern. "Jen, are you sure? It's going to be tough. You'll have to handle everything from maintenance to keeping an eye on any wildlife that might stray too close." Jennifer flexed her claws, watching the firelight catch on their curved edges. "I can track better than anyone here now," she murmured. "And the cold doesn't bother me anymore, not with this coat." She ran a hand down her thick fur, still marveling at how it kept her warm even as frost formed on the logs around them. Summary 1. Jennifer accepts the role of winter caretaker, confident in her feline abilities to endure solitude and harsh conditions, though Miss J expresses concern. She reassures the group with practical demonstrations of her enhanced tracking and cold-resistant fur, solidifying her decision as the firelight reflects her determination. Miss J's fingers twitched toward her own sweater sleeve, a habit Jennifer had noticed whenever her friend wrestled with unspoken thoughts. "What about supplies?" Miss J asked. "The access road ices over by December." Jennifer nodded firmly. "I'm sure, Mr. J. I want to stay. The camp feels like home to me now, and I know I can do it. Her eyes glinted in the firelight, filled with a determination that was unmistakable. Mr. J nodded solemnly, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips. Thank you, Jennifer. I knew I could count on you. He turned to the rest of the camp, his expression growing serious. But she won't be alone. Miss J has agreed to stay with her, to lend her knowledge and guidance through the winter months. Miss J stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Yes, I've decided to stay too, she said, her voice filled with warmth. I can't think of a better way to spend my winter than studying this phenomenon firsthand. She looked at Jennifer, her human friend who had become something so much more. And I know you'll do great, she assured her, giving her a gentle pat on the back. Summary 1. Miss J expresses concern about winter supply logistics, but Jennifer reaffirms her commitment to staying at the clearing, confident in her feline abilities. Mr. J reveals Miss J will remain as well, supporting Jennifer while studying her transformation firsthand, strengthening their bond as Miss J assures Jennifer of her capability. As the campers packed their bags and the staff made final preparations for the closing, Jennifer and Miss J began their new life as winter caretakers of the clearing. The days grew shorter, the air grew crisp, and the scent of pine and earth grew stronger. Jennifer's fur thickened, her body adapting to the dropping temperatures, and she found joy in the simple tasks of keeping the camp in order. Miss J, ever the scientist, set up a makeshift lab in one of the empty cabins. She had brought with her a plethora of equipment to study Jennifer's transformation, eager to understand the implications of such a profound change. The two of them worked side by side, with Miss J taking samples and notes while Jennifer patrolled the camp with her newfound feline instincts. Soon, the air grew crisp with the scent of fall, and the trees around the clearing shimmered with fiery hues of gold and crimson. Jennifer perched atop the mess hall roof, her tail flicking idly as she surveyed the camp below. The last of the campers had departed days ago, leaving only the rustling leaves and distant calls of migrating birds to fill the silence. Miss J's voice rang out from below, startling a squirrel into darting up a nearby oak. Jen! Found something? Summary 1. Jennifer and Miss J settle into winter caretaking, with Jennifer embracing her feline instincts and Miss J conducting scientific research on her transformation. As autumn fades, Miss J calls Jennifer to share an intriguing discovery, interrupting her rooftop vigil over the now empty camp. Jennifer leaped down with feline grace, landing soundlessly beside Miss J, who clutched a yellow journal in her gloved hands. Buried under the storage cabin floorboards, Miss J whispered, her breath frosting in the cold air. The journal's leather cover bore a familiar insignia, a crescent moon entwined with a paw print, the same symbol carved into the oldest trees surrounding the clearing. Jennifer's pupils dilated as she inhaled the scent of aged paper and something metallic, blood. Her claws unsheathed reflexively. Who? Miss J's thumb brushed over a faded entry, the ink smudged with what looked like tears. July 12, 1983, she read aloud, voice hushed. Asterisk the serum works. Fur grows where skin was. But the eyes, God, the eyes don't change back. Asterisk a chill ran down Jennifer's spine as Miss J flipped to a sketch of a man mid-transformation, his human face contorted in agony as feline features erupted from his jawline. Jennifer's claws dug into the dirt. This wasn't an accident. Her tail lashed, stirring dead leaves. Someone made me like this. Miss J traced a finger over the journal's final entry, a frantic scrawl of "They're coming tonight, hide the vials," before the page tore away. A rusted key fell from the binding, landing between them with a thud that seemed too loud in the quiet woods. Summary 1. Miss J unearths an old journal detailing forced hybrid experiments, revealing Jennifer's condition may be intentional. The journal's final entry hints at imminent danger, accompanied by a rusted key, clues that shattered Jennifer's belief her transformation was accidental and imply darker forces at play in the clearing's past. Summary 2. Jennifer accepts the winter caretaker role, demonstrating her feline adaptations to reassure Miss J and the camp. Miss J stays to assist her, deepening their bond while studying her transformation. As winter nears, Miss J discovers an old journal exposing forced hybrid experiments, suggesting Jennifer's condition was intentional, not accidental, and hinting at hidden dangers tied to the clearing's past. Summary 3. Jennifer startles Mr. J and Jen with her feline hybrid form, revealing her transformation stemmed from an ambiguous DNA experiment. While Mr. J accepts her, Miss J shifts to scientific curiosity, collaborating with Jennifer to explore her abilities and uncover camp secrets. Jennifer assumes the winter caretaker role, proving her resilience, while Miss J discovers a journal implicating forced experiments, exposing darker truths about the clearing's origins. Jennifer's ears flattened. "That's the old storm cellar key," she murmured, recognizing the jagged teeth. The cellar had been boarded up for decades, the campers whispering about blackouts and strange howls echoing from its depths after dark. Miss J's grip tightened around the journal. "We need to," a twig snapped in the woods behind them. Both froze. The scent hit Jennifer first, copper and wet fur, thick enough to coat her tongue. Something big was circling just beyond the tree line. Jennifer's pupils narrowed to slits as she pushed Miss J behind her. "Run to the cabin." Her voice dropped to a growl, low enough that only feline ears could catch it. "Now." The underbrush rustled, too rhythmic for wind. Miss J stumbled backward, clutching the journal to her chest, but froze when a pair of amber eyes flashed between the pines. Jennifer's claws scraped against the frost-hardened earth as she crouched, every muscle coiled. The scent wasn't wolf. Not bear. Something other. A shadow detached itself from the trees, tall, furred, standing on hind legs with unnerving grace. Moonlight glinted off silver-tipped claws longer than Jennifer's fingers. The creature's muzzle wrinkled, revealing serrated teeth as it inhaled deeply. "Little sister," it rasped, voice like gravel and rotting leaves. Asterisk, "You smell of the serum." Asterisk. Summary 1. A rusted key leads Jennifer and Miss J toward the camp's forbidden storm cellar, but their investigation is interrupted by a monstrous hybrid creature that recognizes Jennifer's scent. The beast addresses her as "little sister," confirming ties to the serum experiments and forcing Jennifer to shield Miss J as the creature emerges from the woods with clear hostility. Jennifer's tail puffed to twice its size. Every instinct screamed to flee, but Miss J's choked gasp anchored her. "What are you?" Jennifer hissed, circling to keep herself between the beast and Miss J. The creature's ears, tufted like a lynx's, twitched toward the journal in Miss J's shaking hands. "Proof," it snarled, stepping into a shaft of moonlight. Patches of mangy fur peeled away to reveal scarred human skin beneath. Asterisk of their sins. Asterisk its claw gestured to the cellar key gleaming in the frost. Asterisk open it. See what they buried. Asterisk. Jennifer's nostrils flared. The scent wasn't just blood, it was old blood, sour with decay. "Stay behind me," she murmured to Miss J, edging toward the storm cellar's boarded-up entrance. The creature followed, its gait uneven, as if its bones were too large for its flesh. The padlock crumbled at a touch, the key turning with a screech that set Jennifer's teeth on edge. Dank air rushed up, earth and formaldehyde. Inside, shelves sagged under rows of dusty vials, their glass clouded with age. Miss J's flashlight trembled over the labels, Emily R. 1981, Thomas W. 1979, and then, stark in the beam, Arthur B. 1984. Asterisk. Summary 1. The hybrid creature pressures Jennifer to unlock the storm cellar, revealing shelves of preserved vials labeled with names and dates, evidence of systematic experimentation. Miss J's flashlight exposes one marked Arthur B. 1984, suggesting personal ties to the creature as Jennifer shields her from the cellar's horrors, their discovery confirming decades of forced transformations. Jennifer's claws clicked against the vial bearing her dead name. The glass was smudged with fingerprints, as if someone had clutched it in desperation. "This is impossible," she whispered. "I wasn't even born then." The creature loomed in the doorway, its breath ragged. "Not you," it rasped. Asterisk him. Asterisk a claw tapped the adjacent shelf, where a rusted nameplate read Asterisk Dr. B. Asterisk. Miss J gasped. The journal fell open to a page splattered with brownish stains, a photograph of a younger Mr. J shaking hands with a bearded man whose eyes held the same golden hue as Jennifer's. The caption read Asterisk Founders Day, 1982. Asterisk Jennifer's tail lashed as she pieced it together. The camp's director had known. Had participated. The creature snarled, raking claws across its own forearm. Black blood oozed, sizzling where it hit the concrete. They spliced us with apex predators, it hissed. Asterisk called it enlightenment. Asterisk Miss J recoiled as the flashlight beam caught the beast's torso, patches of fur peeled back to reveal surgical scars forming the same crescent empire insignia. Jennifer's claws scraped the vial labeled Arthur B., her own dead name. The glass frosted under her touch. Then why do I have? Summary 1. Jennifer discovers vials connected to her past, realizing the camp's director was involved in forced hybrid experiments. The creature reveals its own scars matching the same insignia, exposing the program's brutality as Miss J uncovers photographic proof of Mr. J's complicity. Jennifer's horror deepens upon recognizing her own dead name among the victims, suggesting her transformation was part of a larger, decades-old conspiracy. Summary 2. Jennifer and Miss J confront a monstrous hybrid linked to the experiments, who recognizes Jennifer and pressures her into the storm cellar. There, they uncover vials and documents proving decades of forced transformations, including Jennifer's, under Mr. J's direction. The creature's scars and Jennifer's dead name among the victims confirm systematic brutality, shattering her belief her transformation was accidental. Because he chose you, the creature rasped, its breath foul with decay. Miss J's flashlight wavered over rows of vials, illuminating names like tombstones. Emily R. 1981 Thomas W. 1979, each paired with a lock of hair sealed in wax. The shelf below held syringes crusted with dark residue, their needles bent as if snapped mid-injection. Jennifer's claws trembled against the vial. The glass was colder than winter soil, leaching heat from her pads. Dr. B., she breathed, recalling the bearded man from the photo, those eyes, identical to hers. My father? The word tasted wrong. Her human memories were foggy, but she'd sworn her dad had been a mechanic, not some mad scientist burying serums in a cellar. Miss J's flashlight beam jerked to the far wall, illuminating a corkboard studded with Polaroids. Campers grinned in faded colors, a girl with fox ears, a boy mid-snarl sporting fangs, all marked with red X's. Dates scrawled beneath matched the vial labels. They weren't experiments, Miss J whispered. They were kids. Jennifer's claws punched through the Arthur B. label as the creature limped closer, its mangled paw dragging across concrete. He watched us change, it wheezed, tapping a photograph of Dr. B holding a syringe to a sobbing child's arm. Asterisk wrote down how long we screamed. Asterisk the creature's muzzle split in what might have been a smile, revealing gums black with rot. Asterisk you're lucky. You don't remember. Asterisk. Summary 1. The cellar's contents expose Dr. B as Jennifer's father and reveal the camp's true history. Children forcibly experimented on, their suffering documented in vials and photographs. The creature confirms Jennifer was intentionally selected by Dr. B, sparing her the memories of transformation trauma endured by others. Miss J uncovers proof of systematic abuse, while Jennifer's shattered vial symbolizes her fractured past and the camp's hidden atrocities. Miss J retched when the flashlight illuminated a metal table bolted to the floor, straps darkened with old stains, a drain clogged with matted fur. Jennifer's tail lashed as she deciphered the chalkboard tally marks above it, asterisk subject 12 to 47% feline integration. Vocalization terminated at 6:32 a.m. Asterisk her own throat constricted. Had she screamed like that? Had her father, asterisk no, that monster asterisk, timed it? The creature's claws scraped the vial shelf. He kept souvenirs, it rasped, flicking a mason jar filled with floating fingers. Each bore a claw, half-formed. Jennifer's stomach lurched at the sight of a child's pinky, the nail still painted with chipped blue polish. Miss J gagged, stumbling back into a stack of crates, their lids pried open to reveal piles of yellowed consent forms signed in looping cursive. Camp waivers. For Innovative Wildlife Education. Jennifer's tail bristled. Her own signature, Arthur's shaky block letters, stared up from a 1984 form. Impossible. She'd have been -years old. These are forgeries, she hissed, but the dates aligned too perfectly with the vials. The creature wheezed a laugh, its ribs rattling. Time means nothing to him. He waited decades for the right ingredients. It tapped a newspaper clipping pinned beside the photos. Local boy vanishes after camp visit, 1984. The grainy image showed a freckled child in overalls. Her human face. Summary 1. The seller reveals Dr. B's torture chamber, complete with dated records of his victim's suffering, including Jennifer's forged childhood signature on falsified consent forms. Evidence suggests Dr. B manipulated time itself to conduct his experiments, with Jennifer's disappearance as a child now linked to his crimes. Miss J's horror escalates upon discovering preserved body parts and staged camp waivers, proving the atrocities were meticulously planned under the guise of education. The creature implies Jennifer was a long-awaited ingredient, her transformation predestined. Summary 2. Jennifer and Miss J discover Dr. B's torture chamber in the cellar, exposing decades of abuse. The creature reveals Jennifer was intentionally selected, sparing her the worst suffering while implicating her father's crimes, including falsified documents and staged waivers. Evidence suggests Dr. B manipulated time and predestined Jennifer's role in his experiments, framing her disappearance as part of a larger atrocity. Miss J's fingers trembled against a ledger page. Jen, this says they harvested DNA from local apex predators, lynx, wolf, bear, but... She trailed off at the last entry, subject 13, hybrid vigor achieved via cross-species splicing. Viable embryo implanted June 15, 84. The date matched Arthur's birth certificate. Jennifer's claws screeched against concrete. She wasn't transformed. She was designed. The creature's breath hitched as it limped toward a rusted incubator. Inside floated a murky vial labeled Generation 2 Catalyst. Jennifer's pupils dilated, the liquid shimmered the same gold as her irises. He perfected the serum with us, it rasped, tapping its chest where scar tissue formed the Crescent Empire brand. Then waited for you to grow up. Miss J's flashlight beam shook as it caught something behind the incubator, a child-sized jumpsuit with Arthur B. Stitched in frayed thread. Jennifer's claws sank into her palms. The fabric smelled faintly of detergent and sweat, human sweat. Her sweat. This is from, before? Her voice cracked. The creature's mangled ear twitched. Before you forgot. Before he made you cat-human again. Summary 1. Jennifer learned she was genetically engineered by Dr. B as part of a hybrid Generation 2 project, with her birthdate matching the ledger's embryo implantation record. The creature reveals Dr. B reset her transformation after initial testing, erasing her memories of childhood experimentation. Physical evidence, including a vial matching Jennifer's eye color and her childhood jumpsuit, confirms her origins as a manufactured hybrid, not an accidental victim. Miss J's horror deepens as the scope of Dr. B's decades-long project unfolds. Jennifer's tail lashed as she snatched the jumpsuit. A Polaroid fluttered loose, a freckled boy in overalls grinning beside a younger Mr. J, both holding fishing rods. The date scribbled in the corner made her stomach drop, July 1984. Her human memories had been planted, like seeds in tilled soil. Miss J's breath hitched. Jen, your dad the mechanic? The photos you showed me were his. Jennifer's claws shredded the jumpsuit collar as she whirled toward the creature. Where is he now? The beast's amber eyes flicked to the ceiling, to the camp above them. Waiting, it rasped. Miss J's flashlight beam trembled across a steel door at the cellar's rear, its surface etched with the same Crescent Empire symbol. Rusted chains held it shut, but the padlock gleamed new. Jennifer's nostrils flared. Fresh oil. Recent use. Miss J's fingers dug into her sleeve. Jen, if he made you, her voice cracked. Does that mean he planned us? The journal slipped from her grip, splaying open at a dog-eared page. Jennifer's claws twitched at the sketch. Miss J as a child, labeled * potential donor, neurological compatibility ideal for subject 13. *. Summary 1. The Polaroid exposes Jennifer's human childhood as a fabrication, with Mr. J complicit in Dr. B's scheme. The creature hints Dr. B remains active in the camp, evidenced by the recently used cellar door. Miss J realizes their relationship may have been orchestrated by Dr. B, as the journal identifies her as a neurologically compatible donor for Jennifer's project. Jennifer's rage surges as the full scale of manipulation, including falsified memories and interpersonal bonds, becomes undeniable. Summary 2. Jennifer discovers she was engineered by Dr. B as part of a hybrid project, her birthdate matching embryo implantation records. Physical evidence, including preserved vials and clothing, confirms her origins as manufactured. Miss J realizes their relationship may have been planned, with Mr. J complicit in falsifying Jennifer's childhood. The cellar's recent use suggests Dr. B remains active, manipulating bonds and memories. Summary 3. Jennifer and Miss J face a monstrous hybrid who forces them into a storm cellar, exposing vials and documents proving Jennifer's transformation, and others, were forced under Mr. J's direction. They uncover Dr. B's torture chamber and learn Jennifer was specifically engineered, with her entire past fabricated. Recent activity suggests Dr. B still manipulates events, exploiting bonds and memories for his experiments. Summary 4. Jennifer and May refine teamwork in simulated battles while Miss J seeks an alliance with another hybrid group. Jennifer's shadow-walking abilities surface, revealing a hidden connection to the Duskstriders and hinting at a looming threat. Miss J uncovers Jennifer's engineered origins and Mr. J's role in forced experiments, exposing dark truths about the camp's past. Trapped in a storm cellar, they find evidence of Dr. B's ongoing manipulations, learning Jennifer's entire identity was fabricated, and that their adversary remains active. Jennifer's pupils narrowed to slits. No. She grabbed Miss J's wrist, pressing it to her own pulse point. This heartbeat? The way I purr when you scratch behind my ears? Her tail lashed, knocking over a vial of murky fluid. That's mine. Not his. The creature wheezed behind them, its claws scraping the ledger. He wanted obedient hybrids, it rasped. You chose rebellion. Miss J's fingers trembled against Jennifer's fur. The bus, she whispered. You were reading Watership Down when I sat next to you. You hated the peanuts they served. Jennifer's breath hitched, that memory was real, unpolluted by Dr. B's tampering. The creature's mangled ear twitched. He planted the camp brochures in your mailbox. The route was always meant to bring you here. Jennifer's claws sank into the jumpsuit's fabric. But you, she hissed at Miss J, you weren't part of his ledger. You chose that seat. The flashlight flickered as Miss J's grip slackened. I was reassigned last minute. The original counselor broke her leg. The creature's wheezing laugh rattled the vials. Fate has claws too, little sister. Jennifer's tail lashed as the pieces clicked, the bus ride, Miss J's sudden transfer, the way their knees had brushed when Jennifer hissed at the stale peanuts. None of it had been accidental. He wanted me here, Jennifer whispered, but he didn't plan you. The creature's amber eyes gleamed. His mistake. Miss J's fingers traced Jennifer's jawline, where fur met human skin. That's why I was reassigned, she murmured. The original counselor's broken leg, it was you, wasn't it? The creature bared its teeth in something like a smile, claws flexing. Little sister needed a real guide. Not another handler. Jennifer's tail twitched as the memory surfaced, a shadow darting past the camp office weeks before arrival, the sound of snapping bone. She'd thought it a deer. Now the scent came back to her, antiseptic and fear sweat, the original counselor's cast being signed by campers who'd never know why she really limped. Miss J's breath fogged between them, her fingers still tangled in Jennifer's fur. "You rerouted fate," she whispered, not to Jennifer, but to the creature hunched in the cellar gloom. Its mangled ear flicked. Asterisk only scratched it. Asterisk. Jennifer's tail coiled around Miss J's wrist, asterisk protective, possessive asterisk, as the realization sank in. That humid bus ride a year ago, the way Miss J's knee had brushed hers when she'd hissed at the stale peanuts, none of it had been accidental. "So that's why," Jennifer murmured, her pupils slitting against the flashlight's glare. "You were meant to be on that bus. Just not with me." Miss J's fingers trembled against Jennifer's fur. "The original counselor, she had your file," she breathed. "I found it crumpled in the trash after my transfer. Thought it was a mistake." The creature's wheezing laugh echoed off the vial shelves. Asterisk little sister rewrote the script. Asterisk. Jennifer's claws flexed. That first day, the way Miss J had flinched when she'd unsheathed her claws to open a soda can. Not fear. Recognition, "You knew," Jennifer whispered. "Before the serum. Before the fur." Miss J's thumb brushed the crescent-shaped scar on her own wrist, a match for the brand on the creature's chest. "I thought it was a coincidence. The Watership Down thing. The peanuts." Her voice cracked. "But you hissed exactly like my childhood cat." The creature's claws scraped concrete as it dragged itself toward the steel door. "His failsafe," it rasped. The padlock gleamed under Miss J's shaking flashlight, engraved with property of Camp Willowbrook. Jennifer's tail puffed. That was the original name etched on the oldest trees. "He's here," she breathed. The scent hit her, antiseptic and old blood, seeping through the door's edges. Miss J's grip tightened on the journal. "We should." A rustling from the cellar door cut her off. The creature snarled, its hackles rising as the padlock trembled. Jennifer's ears flattened against her skull, footsteps. Slow, deliberate. The scent of iodine and wet earth flooded the room. Miss J's flashlight flickered out. Darkness swallowed them whole. Jennifer's pupils dilated, her claws sinking into Miss J's sleeve as she yanked her behind a rusted filing cabinet. The creature melted into the shadows, its ragged breath vanishing. "So what do we do now?" Jennifer hissed, pressing her muzzle close to Miss J's ear. The footsteps above paused, directly over the storm cellar door. The scent intensified, ammonia and something sweetly rotten. "And how do we tell everyone about?" Her throat clenched around the words. Asterisk my dead name in a vial. My father's lab. The kids he asterisk. Miss J's fingers dug into Jennifer's fur. "We tell your dad," she whispered back, voice steadier than her trembling hands. "Mr. J knows. Those forms were signed under his watch. Those missing campers, he's the only one who's been here since the 80s. Jennifer's tail lashed against the filing cabinet as the footsteps overhead creaked toward the cellar's trapdoor. The padlock jingled, someone testing it. "And if he's part of this," she growled, claws pricking Miss J's sleeve. The creature's amber eyes flickered in the dark, tracking movement above. "Ask him about the storm of '87, it rasped. Asterisk when the power went out for 3 days. Asterisk. Miss J's breath hitched. "That's when the first vials went missing," she whispered, recalling the journal's frantic entries. Jennifer's ears swiveled, the footsteps retreated, but the scent lingered. Iodine. Formaldehyde. She nudged the rusted key toward Miss J with her muzzle. "Then we start with the truth," she murmured. "But not here. Not while he's listening." The creature's claws scraped concrete as it emerged from the shadows, its mangled paw hovering over the Arthur B. vial. "Truth is teeth, little sister," it rasped. Asterisk bite deep or don't bite at all. Jennifer's tail lashed, she couldn't unsee the child-sized jumpsuit, the lock of hair sealed in wax with her dead name. But the creature was right. Half measures would get them killed. Miss J's fingers tightened around the rusted key. "We tell your dad tonight," she whispered, her breath warm against Jennifer's ear fur. "During the supply run." While her gaze flicked to the steel door, where the scent of iodine still lingered. Jennifer's claws flexed. Mr. J always took the old truck into town at dusk. No witnesses. No listening ears. The creature hunched beside them, its mangled paw tapping the ledger. "Storm of '87, it rasped again." Jennifer's tail twitched, she'd seen those photos. Fallen trees, smashed cabins. And one conspicuously intact cellar door. "That's when they moved the experiments underground," she breathed. Miss J's thumb brushed the crescent scar on her wrist. "And when Mr. J found you in the wreckage." The unspoken truth hung between them, he didn't find you. He planted you, Jennifer's claws pricked her own palms. "So we ambush him during the supply run." The creature wheezed approval, its amber eyes flicking to the steel door. Old truck shock squeak at 23 miles per hour. Miss J's grip tightened on the key. "We'll intercept him at the bend by the red pines," a floorboard groaned overhead. All three froze. The scent of iodine thickened, seeping through the ceiling cracks like poison. Jennifer's tail lashed as the footsteps receded. "He knows we're here." The creature bared blackened teeth. He always knows." Miss J pocketed the vial labeled Arthur B., her fingers brushing the child-sized jumpsuit. "We need proof. This." Her voice cracked. "Your dad won't believe us without." The cellar door creaked above them. A sliver of dusk light sliced through the darkness, revealing dust motes swirling like ghosts. Jennifer's pupils narrowed, a silhouette lingered at the threshold. Too tall for Mr. J, too still. The scent hit her, formaldehyde and wet earth. Him. Summary 1. Jennifer realizes the 1987 storm allowed Drive B to relocate experiments underground, coinciding with Mr. J finding her, confirming she was planted. They planned to ambush Mr. J at the Red Pines during his supply run, using his truck's distinctive squeak as an identifier. Above them, Dr. B's presence is confirmed by his scent and silhouette at the cellar door, forcing them to act quickly with stolen evidence, including Jennifer's childhood jumpsuit, before he intervenes. Summary 2. Jennifer and Miss J hide as Dr. B tests the cellar door overhead, debating whether to confront Mr. J about his role in the experiments. The creature links a 1987 power outage to missing vials and Jennifer's engineered origins, urging them to ambush Mr. J during his supply run. They realize the storm allowed Dr. B to move experiments underground, coinciding with Jennifer being planted at the camp. With Dr. B's presence confirmed, they plan to steal evidence, including Jennifer's jumpsuit, before confronting Mr. J at the Red Pines. Summary 3. Jennifer and Miss J recognize Dr. B exploited their bond but resolve to undermine his plans. The creature admits to orchestrating events but affirms their choices were genuine. Detecting Dr. B's approach, they hide and strategize, connecting past events, like the 1987 outage, to Jennifer's engineered arrival. They prepare to ambush Mr. J during his supply run, aiming to secure evidence before confronting him. Miss J's fingers dug into Jennifer's fur. "We go now," she mouthed, pressing the rusted key into her palm. The creature melted into the shadows, its wheezing breath vanishing as the silhouette retreated. Jennifer's claws unsheathed. Every instinct screamed to bolt, but the jumpsuit in her grip anchored her, proof tangled in frayed threads and the stench of old sweat. The cellar door groaned wider. Mr. J stood silhouetted against the dusk, his work boots crusted with fresh mud. "I see you found your past," he murmured, voice rougher than the gravel outside. His flashlight beam trembled over the vial shelves, catching on Arthur B. Jennifer's tail puffed. He knew the label. Knew the name. Something metallic clattered to the floor, Miss J's dropped key. Stopped so many years ago, Mr. J continued, stepping into the seller's throat. The reek of iodine intensified as his shadow stretched across the jumpsuit in Jennifer's grip. Before I opened my eyes. Before I started this camp. His calloused hand hovered near her muzzle, not touching. I'm so sorry you had to see this, dear. Jennifer's claws flexed around the jumpsuit's frayed stitching. The creature's wheezing breath echoed from the dark corner where it had melted into the shelves. Liar, it rasped. Mr. J's flashlight beam jerked toward the sound, illuminating the creature's mangled ear twitching behind a rack of vials. His breath hitched. Arthur? Summary 1. Miss J urges Jennifer to flee with the stolen jumpsuit, proof of Dr. B's crimes, as Dr. B's presence looms overhead. Unexpectedly, Mr. J arrives, confirming his familiarity with the Arthur B. vial and Jennifer's fabricated past. His apologies and claims of ignorance clash with the creature's accusation from the shadows, revealing his true identity when he recognizes Arthur, the mangled hybrid, exposing his deeper involvement than Jennifer realized. Miss J's fingers dug into Jennifer's sleeve. You knew him? She whispered. The beam trembled over the creature's branded chest, the same crescent empalm mark seared into the jumpsuit's tag. Mr. J's boot scuffed backward. Not like this. His voice cracked. 12 when they took him. The creature's wheezing laugh rattled the vials. Asterisk took me? Asterisk its mangled paw flexed toward the surgical table straps. Asterisk, you strapped me down yourself, uncle. Asterisk Mr. J's flashlight clattered to the floor, rolling to illuminate his ashen face. No. That was his work. His calloused hands rose, palms out. I carried the trays. Changed the sheets. I didn't know what they. Jennifer's tail lashed, knocking over a jar of floating fingertips. The pinky with chipped blue polish bobbed against the glass. Bullshit, she snarled, shoving the jumpsuit at him. The Arthur B. tag flapped against his chest. You signed the transfer forms. You dated the vials. Miss J's trembling fingers unclenched around the rusted key, its teeth matched the padlock on the steel door. And you locked them in, she whispered. After. Summary 1. Mr. J admits recognizing the branded creature, revealing it as his nephew Arthur, abducted at 12, but denies direct involvement in the experiments. The creature counters with accusations of Mr. J's active participation, citing his role in restraining victims and maintaining the facility. Jennifer confronts him with documented proof, the jumpsuit's transfer tag and Miss J's matching key, proving his complicity in imprisoning hybrids after procedures. Mr. J's calloused fingers traced the jumpsuit's tag, not denying it. The cellar's stale air thickened with the scent of his sweat and something darker, guilt, sour as old milk. I was his assistant, he admitted, voice cracking like campfire embers. Not for the procedures. Just the cleanup. His thumb brushed the crescent empalm brand on the fabric. Until the storm of 87. Above them, floorboards groaned. That same deliberate tread, iodine and earth, paced the perimeter. Jennifer's tail lashed against Miss J's thigh. Clean up, she hissed. The creature's wheezing laughter echoed from the shadows. Asterisk bodies don't bury themselves, little sister. Asterisk Mr. J flinched at the sound, flashlight beam skittering across surgical tools crusted with brown residue. Not like that, he rasped. The failures went to the incinerator. The ones that survived. His gaze flicked to the steel door. Chains rattled as something thumped against it from the other side. Miss J's fingers tightened around Jennifer's fur. You knew, she breathed. Not a question. The jumpsuit trembled in Mr. J's grip, fabric worn thin from decades of being folded away, hidden. After the storm, he whispered. When the generator died. That's when I saw what he did to them. His calloused thumb brushed the child-sized tag. Arthur B., your file said you were different. That you wouldn't remember. Summary 1. Mr. J confesses to assisting Dr. B by disposing of failed experiments, revealing survivors were imprisoned behind the steel door, but claims ignorance of the procedure's brutality until witnessing them during the 1987 storm. The creature mocks his sanitized version of events, while Jennifer's reaction and Miss J's accusation expose his deeper knowledge of Jennifer's engineered origins and erased memories. Above them, Dr. B's footsteps signal imminent confrontation. Summary 2, Mr. J arrives, confirming knowledge of Jennifer's fabricated past and the Arthur B. vial. The creature, revealed as his abducted nephew Arthur, accuses him of active involvement in Dr. B's experiments, contradicting Mr. J's claims of ignorance. Jennifer presents proof, the jumpsuit's transfer tag, of his role imprisoning hybrids, forcing him to admit disposing of failed experiments but denying awareness of their brutality until witnessing procedures during the 1987 storm. As Dr. B's footsteps approach overhead, tensions escalate over Mr. J's deeper complicity. Jennifer's claws prick the jumpsuit's stitching. The creature's wheeze cut through the dark, liar. Floorboards groaned overhead again. Closer now. The scent of formaldehyde seeped through the ceiling cracks like poison. Miss J's breath hitched. Jen, she whispered urgently, we end this now or someone finds out. Puts it in the news. Then it's over, for all of us. Mr. J's flashlight beam skittered toward the steel door. Chains rattled as something thudded against it from the other side, something big. Jennifer's ears flattened. Who else knows, she demanded. The creature's amber eyes flicked to Mr. J's trembling hands. Only the dead, it rasped. Miss J's fingers curled around Jennifer's wrist, her thumb pressing into the crescent scar. Then we burn it, she whispered. All of it. Tonight. The jumpsuit in Mr. J's grip crumpled as he inhaled sharply. The records. Burn them ! Jennifer snarled, tail lashing against a shelf of vials. The creature's wheezing laugh echoed from the shadows. Little sister learns fast. Overhead, the footsteps paused directly above the steel door, iodine and earth thickening in the stale air. Summary 1, Miss J urges immediate action, either expose Dr. B's crimes publicly or destroy all evidence, as his footsteps near the cellar. Jennifer demands to know who else is complicit. To which the creature cryptically implies only deceased witnesses remain. They agree to burn everything, including records, while the creature's approval and Dr. B's proximity heighten the tension. Miss J's fingers dug into Jennifer's fur, her breath hot against her ear. Not just the records, the building, she whispered. Mr. J's flashlight beam trembled across the surgical table's leather straps. The storm cellar connects to the infirmary basement, he rasped. If we ignite the alcohol stores, a rusted chain clinked as something heavy threw itself against the steel door. Jennifer's tail lashed, knocking over a tray of scalpels. He'll smell the smoke. The creature's mangled paw tapped the floor, 3 deliberate scratches. Distraction. Mr. J's calloused hands twisted the jumpsuit into a knot. The wolf pack, he muttered. They've been circling since sundown. Miss J's fingers tightened around the rusted key. So we let them in. The steel door shuddered as something heavy slammed against it from the other side, chains groaning. Jennifer's pupils narrowed. The scent was wrong. Not wolves. Something older. The creature's wheezing laugh sent vials trembling. Little sister's pack has sharper teeth. Jennifer's tail lashed against Miss J's thigh. Burn it all, she growled, claws pricking the jumpsuit still clutched in Mr. J's grip. The creature's amber eyes flicked to the ceiling where footsteps creaked, methodical, circling. He's waiting for the flames, it rasped. Always does. Summary 1, Miss J proposes burning the entire infirmary by igniting its alcohol stores, exploiting the storm cellar's connection. The creature suggests using the wolves as a distraction, but Jennifer detects an older, unknown presence behind the steel door. As they finalize their plan, the creature reveals Dr. B anticipates fire, implying this isn't his first attempt to erase evidence, while his footsteps circle overhead. Miss J's fingers dug into Jennifer's wrist, her breath hot against fur. Not just fire, she whispered. We need noise. Something loud enough to drown out a vial shattered as the steel door shuttered again. The scent of wet earth and formaldehyde oozed through the cracks. Mr. J's flashlight beam skittered across the surgical table's restraints. The dynamite shed, he muttered. From the old mining days. It's... Jennifer's tail lashed, knocking over another vial. The liquid inside, something thick and amber, pulled around Mr. J's boots. Dynamite, she hissed, pupils slitting. You kept dynamite next to a room full of volatile serum vials? The creature's wheezing laughter echoed off the shelves. Uncle always liked playing with fire. Miss J's fingers tightened around the rusted key. How much? She demanded, her voice sharp as the scalpel glinting on the floor. Mr. J's flashlight beam trembled toward the far wall, where a steel door, older than the others, bore a faded danger, blasting agent stencil. Enough to collapse the ridge, he admitted, rubbing his jaw where stubble glinted silver in the dim light. Mining company left it when they pulled out in '89. Jennifer's tail lashed against a shelf of vials. You kept TNT next to these? Her claws gestured to the rows of bubbling serums, some still faintly luminescent after decades. The creature's wheezing laugh echoed from the shadows. Science and fireworks, it rasped. Uncle's favorite toys. Miss J's grip tightened on the rusted key as the steel door groaned under another impact, this time accompanied by a wet, tearing sound. The scent of formaldehyde surged through the cracks. How stable is it? She hissed, flashlight beam darting to the danger stencil. Mr. J's calloused fingers twitched near his belt where a ring of old keys jingled. Stable enough if we're careful, he muttered. But the fuses are shot. Need a direct flame. Jennifer's pupils dilated as the creature's wheezing voice slithered from the shadows, like lighting a birthday candle. She whipped her tail toward the surgical table's scattered alcohol swabs. Except the candle blows up a mountain, she growled, claws pricking the jumpsuit still knotted in Mr. J's grip. The creature's amber eyes flicked to the ceiling where iodine-scented footsteps paced. 5 hours, it rasped. Moonrise. Miss J's fingers dug into Jennifer's wrist, her breath hot against fur. We evacuate under Wolf Watch, tell everyone it's a drill. Her flashlight beam trembled across the serum vials. Then we torch the infirmary basement last. The steel door shuddered as something wet thumped against it, chains groaning. Mr. J's calloused hands twisted the jumpsuit tighter. Dynamite first, he muttered. Blow the ridge to block the access road. His voice cracked as the creature's mangled paw tapped the Arthur B. vial. Contain him. Jennifer's tail lashed, knocking over a jar of floating teeth. 5 hours, she hissed, pupils slitting at the iodine-scented footsteps circling overhead. The creature wheezed laughter from the shadows, tick-tock, little sister. Miss J's grip tightened on the rusted key. Bunny and May take the hybrids east to the caves. Kate handles the human campers. Her thumb brushed Jennifer's crescent scar. You and I plant the dynamite after. The steel door screamed inward an inch, rusted chains snapping taut. A black-nailed finger curled through the gap. Mr. J's flashlight beam trembled over the bloated fingertip. He's stronger, he rasped. Jennifer's claws unsheathed. The scent wasn't just formaldehyde now, it was gangrene and wet soil, the reek of something unearthed. Miss J slammed her shoulder against the shuddering door. Go, she snarled at Mr. J, start the drill now. The creature lunged from the shadows, its mangled body wedging against the steel. Run, Uncle. Jennifer's tail lashed as Mr. J bolted up the stairs, his bootsteps echoing like gunshots. The creature wheezed, blackened claws scrabbling against the doorframe. 5 hours, it rasped. Then we light the match. Miss J's fingers dug into Jennifer's fur. Bunny takes the hybrids east through the storm drains. Kate herds the humans south to the river. The door groaned inward another inch, chains shrieking. A second finger joined the first, nails cracked and yellowed. Jennifer's claws pricked her palms. And us? The creature's amber eyes flicked to the dynamite shed stencil door. Asterisk, we play with fire. Asterisk, Miss J's breath hitched as the steel door buckled, the scent of rotting earth flooding the cellar. We set the charges last, she whispered. After everyone's clear. After the door screamed inward, revealing a sliver of milky eye and peeling scalp. Jennifer lunged, slamming it shut with her shoulder. Go, she snarled. Miss J hesitated, just long enough to pocket the Arthur B. vial, before sprinting up the stairs after Mr. J. Outside, the camp was already moving, Bunny herding wide-eyed hybrids toward the storm drains, Kate barking orders at startled campers. Jennifer's ears swiveled, no screams yet. No scent of panic. Just the crisp snap of Miss J's voice cutting through the dusk, drill protocol. East quadrant, move, Mr. J's truck roared to life, headlights sweeping across the ridge where the dynamite shed hunched like a tombstone. Jennifer's claws sank into the dirt as Miss J materialized beside her, breath ragged. Bunny's got the littles, she panted, pressing a cold fuse into Jennifer's palm. Kate's routing the humans south, told them it's a flash flood drill. Her fingers trembled against Jennifer's fur. 5 hours. Then we burn this place to bedrock. The steel door groaned behind them, something wet thumped against it. Jennifer didn't need to look. The stench of gangrene told her everything. Mr. J's truck peeled toward the dynamite shed, kicking up gravel. The creature, Arthur limped from the cellar shadows, its wheezing voice cutting through the chaos, he's testing the locks. Miss J's flashlight beam skittered across its mangled paw, claws blackened from old burns. How long, she demanded. The creature's amber eyes flicked to the ridge. Moonrise, it rasped. Always hungriest then. Jennifer's tail lashed as Bunny shoved the last hybrid into the storm drain, a trembling lynx girl clutching May's hand. Go. Bunny barked, her ears flat against her skull. The scent of fear soured the air, but no one screamed. Not yet. Miss J's fingers dug into Jennifer's wrist. 5 hours, she whispered, pressing the rusted key into her palm. We blow the ridge first, collapse the access road. Then we torch the infirmary. The steel door screamed behind them, chains snapping like dry bones. Mr. J's truck skidded to a halt by the dynamite shed, headlights cutting through the dusk. He tossed a ring of keys to Kate, get the campers across the river. Before shouldering open the weathered door. The creature, Arthur, Jennifer reminded herself, limped after him, its wheezing laugh trailing like smoke. Uncle's gonna play with matches, it rasped. Jennifer's claws pricked her palms. And when he smells the fuse? Miss J's thumb brushed the crescent scar. That's when Bunny's team lights the alcohol store. 2 fires, he won't know which way to run. The camp was eerily silent now, just the crunch of gravel under boots and the occasional whimper from the storm drains. Jennifer's ears twitched. No screams. No panic. Just the methodical click of Kate's clipboard as she checked names. Like a damn fire drill, Miss J muttered, pocketing the fuse. Her fingers trembled, just once, before tightening around Jennifer's wrist. 5 hours. Then we erase everything. The dynamite shed door creaked as Mr. J emerged, arms laden with weathered crates. Arthur limped behind him, dragging a fuse line through the dirt like a grotesque wedding train. Enough to collapse the ridge, Mr. J rasped, dumping the crates near the infirmary's cellar entrance. His hand shook as he pried one open, sticks of old TNT nestled in straw, sweating nitroglycerin. Arthur wheezed laughter. Uncle's party favors. Miss J grabbed Jennifer's muzzle, forcing eye contact. Listen. Bunny's team reaches the East Caves in 3 hours. Kate's got the humans at the river by 4. Her thumb smeared dirt across Jennifer's scar. At 4:50, we light the dynamite fuse. 5 sharp, the alcohol store goes up. The steel door behind them groaned, something wet dripped through the cracks. 2 explosions. 1 distraction. Jennifer's tail lashed against the dynamite crate. And when he comes running? Arthur's blackened claws tapped the fuse line. Asterisk, that's when little sister runs faster. Asterisk, Mr. J's calloused hands trembled as he wired the first bundle. The ridge blows first, he muttered. Cuts off the access road. Then the infirmary basement, a chain snapped inside the cellar. Miss J's flashlight beam caught the steel door bowing inward, hinges screaming. Jennifer struck the match, its flare painting the ridge in hellish orange. The fuse hissed to life, spitting sparks toward the dynamite. Then, wait, the voice was small, desperate, a child's. Jennifer's ears swiveled toward the dynamite shed. A face pressed against its grimy window, May, the Lynx hybrid they'd evacuated hours ago. Her pupils were blown wide with terror, paws scrabbling at the glass. They locked me in, Miss J's flashlight beam sliced through the dark, catching the fresh padlock on the shed door. Who? Jennifer didn't wait. She lunged, claws scoring the wood as the fuse burned toward the first crate. Arthur's mangled paw seized her tail. Trap, he wheezed. The steel door at the infirmary cellar screamed off its hinges, just as the scent hit Jennifer's nose. Formaldehyde and wet earth. Dr. B stood framed in the doorway, his lab coat pristine, a syringe glinting in his hand. He sighed. Right on schedule. May's fists pounded the glass. Please. The dynamite crate beside Jennifer hissed, 3 feet of fuse left. Mr. J's calloused hands wrenched at the padlock. Bunny cleared this sector. Miss J's claws unsheathed. He planted her. Dr. B's polished loafers crunched gravel as he stepped into the moonlight. Such loyalty. He mused, nodding at Arthur's ruined face. Even after what you did to him. Jennifer lunged, not at Dr. B, but at the fuse. Her claws severed the burning cord an inch from the dynamite. The severed end spat sparks onto Arthur's mangled paw. He didn't flinch. Run, he wheezed at May. The Lynx girl sobbed as Mr. J finally shattered the lock with a rock. Dr. B chuckled. 3 minutes, he said, tapping his watch. Till the alcohol store ignites, Miss J's flashlight beam found Bunny's crumpled form by the storm drain, her throat slit, ears still twitching. You bastard, Jennifer snarled. Dr. B adjusted his glasses. Merely observing, the syringe in his hand glinted. May tumbled from the shed into Mr. J's arms, her fur matted with tears. Arthur limped between them and Dr. B, his wheezing voice raw. You promised no more children, Jennifer's claws sank into the dirt as the scent of gasoline hit her nose, not from the alcohol store, but from the infirmary roof. Dr. B smiled. 2 fires, yes, his polished shoe nudged the severed fuse. But which one is real? The first explosion came from the ridge, too early, too loud. The dynamite shed's roof buckled inward, raining splinters. May screamed. Miss J tackled Jennifer aside as the second blast tore through the infirmary basement, flames geysering through the cellar door Dr. B had just exited. Arthur's mangled body shielded Mr. J and May, his wheezing laugh lost in the inferno. Always liked fireworks, he rasped before the shockwave hurled them all into the dirt. Jennifer's ears rang as she rolled onto her knees, just in time to see Dr. B stroll unscathed through the firestorm, his lab coat fluttering like a ghost. The syringe was gone. In its place, he held a child's pink hair ribbon. Bunny's ribbon. Observation complete, he announced pleasantly, pocketing it. Hypothesis confirmed, familial bonds do indeed override survival instincts. May whimpered beneath Jennifer's claws, her lynx ears flattened against her skull. The ridge burned behind them, the dynamite shed a skeletal husk. Arthur's mangled form lay motionless. Near the infirmary steps, his last wheezing laugh still curling in the smoke. Miss J was face down in the dirt, her fingers twitching toward the severed fuse. Jen, she slurred, blood trickling from her nose. Run, Jennifer's tail lashed against May's ribs. Stay down, the command was a growl, low enough to vibrate through May's bones. Dr. B's polished loafers crunched through the debris, pausing beside Bunny's body. He pocketed her ribbon with clinical precision. Fascinating, he murmured. Even now, you shield the child instead of fleeing, May's claws pricked Jennifer's forearm. He's lying, the lynx hybrid whispered. The dynamite shed, it wasn't wired to, Jennifer's pupils dilated. The realization hit with the acrid stench of burning gasoline, the infirmary explosion was the only blast. The ridge was untouched. Dr. B's chuckle slithered through the smoke. Diversionary tactics, he sighed, nudging Arthur's scorched paw with his toe. Your uncle always did favor theatrics, Jennifer's claws flexed around May's trembling shoulders. The infirmary fire roared behind them, painting Dr. B's glasses in hellish orange. He adjusted them with a gloved hand, the same hand that now held Bunny's ribbon like a trophy. You'll note, he mused, the wolves never howled, Jennifer's ears flattened. The pack should have reacted to the blast. Which meant. May's whimper cut off as Dr. B's polished loafer scuffed gravel. Dosed their meat this morning, he confessed, flicking something metallic from his cuff. A wolf tag. Miss J's breath hitched in the dirt, her fingers twitching near Jennifer's tail. The realization burned hotter than the flames, the wolves weren't coming. The ridge hadn't blown. The entire evacuation, a staged panic. Jennifer's claws flexed around May's ribs. The explosion hadn't even singed her fur, just the acrid reek of gasoline and burning band-aids from the infirmary. A controlled blast. Beside her, Arthur's scorched paw twitched. His wheezing voice slithered through cracked lips, told you, he'd cheat. But not Jennifer, she hold May. The explosion hadn't even singed her fur, just the acrid reek of gasoline and burning band-aids from the infirmary. A controlled blast. Beside her, Arthur's scorched paw twitched. His wheezing voice slithered through cracked lips, told you, he'd cheat. May's lynx ears pinned back as Jennifer rolled onto her knees, fur matted with dirt and Arthur's blood. The infirmary fire painted everything orange, but the ridge stood untouched. No dynamite crater. No collapsed road. Just Dr. B's polished loafers crunching toward them through the debris. Disappointing, he sighed, nudging Arthur's ribs with his toe. You always were, predictable. Jennifer's arms locked around May's waist, too tight, just as the ground lurched. The explosion came from beneath them, not fire, but a vacuum, sucking the air from Jennifer's lungs as the earth yawned open. She barely had time to curl her body around May's before the shockwave hit. Then, nothing. Just the ringing silence of a world turned inside out. May gasped awake to damp fur and the reek of sulfur. Her claws scrabbled against slick rock, alive, but Jennifer's body was a dead weight across her legs. The lynx hybrid whimpered, patting Jennifer's soot-streaked face. Wake up, her voice echoed in the cavernous dark. Above them, the supermassive sinkhole gaped like a rotten tooth, edges still crumbling. No Dr. B. No infirmary. Just the distant drip of groundwater and Jennifer's limp tail. Then Jennifer coughed, a wet, ragged sound, and May's tears hit her muzzle. Walk, Jennifer slurred, pushing May toward the fractured tunnel wall. Run, town, vet, her claws left smears of blood on the rock as she hauled herself up. May ducked under Jennifer's arm, her lynx strength buckling under the bigger hybrid's weight. Together, they stumbled through the tunnel's throat, Jennifer's breaths coming in wheezing gulps. The sinkhole yawned behind them, exhaling gusts of formaldehyde-scented air. May's ears twitched at the distant scritch-scratch of something moving in the rubble. Asterisk not stopping, asterisk, Jennifer growled, her pupils blown wide with pain. May's paws slipped in the mud as they breached the tunnel mouth, moonlight slicing through the trees. Jennifer's knees gave out. Asterisk drop me, asterisk, she hissed. Asterisk go, asterisk. May's claws dug into Jennifer's jumpsuit. Asterisk no, asterisk, the Lynx hybrid's voice cracked like ice. Behind them, the sinkhole belched another plume of dust, something metal clanged in the depths. Jennifer's tail lashed weakly. Asterisk listen, asterisk, May snarled, heaving her forward. Asterisk you carried me first, asterisk. The forest blurred as May staggered uphill, Jennifer's blood hot against her neck. A branch snapped, too loud. May froze. Jennifer's claws pricked her ribs. Asterisk not wolves, asterisk, she rasped. The scent was wrong, chemical, sterile. Dr. B's cologne. Moonlight glinted off wet rocks ahead. The river. May's pulse hammered. 3 more steps and her paws sank into icy water. Jennifer groaned as the current tugged at her legs. Asterisk leave me, asterisk. Asterisk shut up, asterisk, May snarled, biting Jennifer's collar to drag her forward. The vet's office loomed across the shallows, its red neon cross flickering through the trees like a beacon. Or a warning. Jennifer's claws scraped gravel as May hauled her onto the bank. The Lynx hybrid's ribs heaved, her pupils blown wide with exhaustion. Somewhere behind them, metal screeched, the sound of a shovel biting into wet earth. Too close. May didn't look back. The vet's office door hung crooked, its neon cross sputtering like a dying heartbeat. May kicked it open with a feral snarl, Jennifer's limp body slung over her shoulder. Inside, the air reeked of antiseptic and stale blood. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, flickering over stainless steel tables and a wall. May staggered, Jennifer's dead weight nearly sending them both crashing into the sterile white tile. The vet office wasn't deserted. 3 nurses and scrubs stood frozen beside the surgical table, syringes glinting in their hands like icicles. The nearest one gasped, her name tag, asterisk Lacey, CVT asterisk, swinging as she backpedaled. Oh God. Hybrids. Jennifer blinked. His eyes felt sticky, like they'd been glued shut for days. The room smelled of antiseptic and something stale, old coffee maybe. White walls. Fluorescent lights humming overhead. A thin blanket covered him, scratchy against his skin. She pushed himself up on one elbow, wincing at the ache in his shoulders. Where the hell was he? Last thing she helped May from the baboon, now this. A hospital? Panic tightened his throat. He fumbled for the call button, fingers clumsy. The door swung open before he could press it. A nurse with tired eyes and a too bright smile walked in. Jennifer. Good to see you awake. She checked his wristband, her touch clinical. You gave us quite a scare. Found you unconscious with May. How long? He rasped. The nurse adjusted his foredrip. 3 days. Dehydration, exhaustion. Jennifer's claws dug into the thin mattress. Where's May? The nurse blinked at the urgency in his voice. The Lynx girl? Down the hall. Stable, but Jennifer was already swinging his legs off the bed. May walking with Miss J said, look, my hero, said Matt with glee when she notices him awake. Miss J's scent hit him first, motor oil and that damned vanilla shampoo. She stood framed in the doorway, arms crossed under her chest, logging boots leaving mud on the sterile floor. Took you long enough, she said, but her voice cracked. May bounced past her, ears perked. You saved me. The Lynx hybrid tackled Jennifer in a hug that smelled like river water and burned band-aids. Miss J rolled her eyes, but her calloused fingers lingered on Jennifer's shoulder. Dumbass. Almost got yourself killed. Jennifer's tail twitched against the scratchy sheets. Dr. B. and Arthur. Gone, Miss J cut in, her jaw tight. She tossed a crumpled lab coat onto the bed, singed at the edges, reeking of formaldehyde. Found this snagged on the ridge fence. Bastard left in a hurry. May's claws pricked Jennifer's arm. But Arthur, the Lynx girl's ears flattened as Miss J shook her head. Jennifer's stomach dropped. Outside the window, the logging camp's silhouette smudged the horizon, charred where the infirmary had been. Miss J lit a cigarette with steady fingers, exhaling smoke toward the ceiling tiles. "Bunny's alive," she said abruptly. Doc found her bleeding out by the storm drain. The unspoken barely hung between them. Jennifer's claws flexed. "And the vial?" May whimpered when Miss J tapped her breast pocket, the glass tube clinking against her Zippo. "Arthur's last gift." Her smirk didn't reach her eyes. The Lynx hybrid sniffled, nuzzling Jennifer's bandaged ribs. "He winked at me. Right before." A monitor beeped twice, sharp. Across the hall, Bunny's hoarse scream tore through the quiet. Jennifer's ears flattened against his skull. The scent hit him, burning hair, rust, the thick sweetness of infection. Miss J stubbed out her cigarette on the windowsill. "Bunny's got complications." May's claws dug into Jennifer's thigh. "Doc says the ribbon was poisoned." The Lynx hybrid trembled. "She chewed through 2 restraints last night." Jennifer's tail lashed against the 4-line. "Where's the vial now?" Miss J's hand hovered near her pocket, fingers twitching. "Safe. For now." The way her gaze flicked to May said everything, * not here, not with children around, * the Lynx hybrid's ears perked up, catching the unspoken tension. She pressed closer to Jennifer, her claws pricking through the thin hospital gown. Down the hall, Bunny's screams dissolved into wet coughing. The smell of antiseptic couldn't mask the underlying rot. Jennifer's tail bristled. "How long has she been like that?" Miss J flicked her Zippo open, click click *, the flame dancing shadows across her face. "Since they dug the ribbon out of her throat." May whimpered, pressing her forehead against Jennifer's ribs. 3 weeks later, Bunny's screams still echoed in Jennifer's dreams, even in Miss J's creaky townhouse bed. The Lynx hybrid's claws kneaded the quilt as Jennifer traced the healed burns on her shoulders. Moonlight bled through the lace curtains, painting stripes across Bunny's empty dog bed in the corner. Empty. Jennifer's tail lashed. The vet had kept her, for observation. Miss J's arm tightened around Jennifer's waist, her calloused fingers brushing the bandages still wrapped around his ribs. "Stop thinking," she mumbled into his fur, her breath warm with whiskey. Jennifer huffed, but his ears twitched at the scritch-scratch from May's room down the hall. The Lynx hybrid had refused to sleep alone since the sinkhole. Bunny's recovery was slower, stitches in her throat where Dr. B's ribbon had sliced too deep. The vet's office smelled of wet fur and antiseptic when Jennifer visited, Bunny's usual bounce reduced to weak tail thumps against the cage floor. But yesterday she'd stolen his bacon. Miss J called it progress. Jennifer's claws clicked against Miss J's hardwood floors, still unfamiliar. The townhouse smelled of sawdust and gun oil, cluttered with logging maps and discarded bras. He'd tripped over her steel-toed boots twice this morning. "You're stomping," Miss J muttered from the shower, her voice bouncing off tiles. Steam curled under the bathroom door. Jennifer's tail flicked a discarded towel. "You're flooding." May's laughter floated up from the kitchen, followed by Bunny's raspy bark. The jackalope hybrid was still thin, ribs visible under patchy fur, but her ears perked at the scent of frying bacon. Jennifer padded downstairs, his shoulder brushing the too narrow hallway walls. May stood on a stool, whisking eggs with bandaged paws. "Bunny licked the butter," she announced. Bunny wagged her tail, unrepentant. Miss J emerged in a towel, dripping on the linoleum. "Christ, kid. That's my good pan." She snatched the spatula from May, who stuck out her tongue. Bunny stole a strip of bacon right from Jennifer's fingers, her teeth grazing his claws in a move perfected during 3 weeks of covert snack raids. The townhouse creaked around them, its old pipes groaning as Miss J cranked the coffee maker. Jennifer's tail curled around May's stool automatically, steadying her as the Lynx hybrid stretched for cinnamon. He still caught himself listening for logging camp noises, axes biting wood, Arthur's wheezing laugh, but now it was May's off-key humming and Bunny's toenails clicking across hardwood. Miss J tossed bacon onto a paper towel-lined plate, grease spattering her faded World's Okayest Boss t-shirt. Jennifer's claws clicked against the countertop, still too loud in this domesticated space. Bunny's ears perked at the sound, her muzzle twitching toward the pan. "Don't even think about it," Miss J warned, flipping the spatula like a switchblade. The jackalope hybrid licked her stitches instead. May's whiskers quivered as she poured orange juice, 3 glasses, plus a bowl for Bunny. The lynx hybrid had claimed the crooked stool by the window, her tail curling around its legs like a possessive vine. Sunlight caught the healing scars on her paws where Dr. B's chemicals had burned. Jennifer's claws flexed. He still woke reaching for her in the dark. Miss J's coffee steamed between them, black as the dynamite sheds ashes. She slid a mug toward Jennifer, chipped, with "property of the baddest bitch" in peeling letters. Bunny's ears swiveled toward the front door before the knock even came. May froze, juice dripping off her whiskers. Jennifer's tail stiffened, that scent. Formaldehyde and polished leather. The doorknob rattled. Miss J's spatula clattered against the skillet as the door creaked open. There stood Mr. J, his logging boots tracking mud onto her clean floor, his suspenders sagging like a deflated balloon. His gaze flicked from Bunny's bandaged throat to May's scarred paws before settling on Jennifer's half-healed ribs. "I see, everyone's okay now," he said, voice raspy with disuse. Jennifer's tail bristled instantly. The scent hit him, not just sweat and pine sap, but the faintest trace of formaldehyde clinging to Mr. J's flannel collar. May hissed, knocking over her juice glass. The lynx hybrid's claws unsheathed as she scrambled backward, stool screeching against the tile. Miss J's spatula hit the skillet with a metallic clang. Steam rose between them like a territorial boundary. "Close the damn door," she growled. "You're letting the cold in." Mr. J's boots scuffed the welcome mat, property of the baddest bitch curling at the edges, before he stepped inside. His gaze flicked to Bunny's bandages, then May's trembling claws. "Heard about the incident?" His voice sounded like gravel in a tin can. Miss J's spatula clanged against the skillet hard enough to send bacon grease spattering. The scent of burnt pork fat filled the kitchen as she turned her back, shoulders rigid. Bunny's ears pinned flat against her skull, a low growl building in her stitched throat. Jennifer's claws flexed against the countertop. Mr. J's boots creaked on the linoleum, tracking mud in the shape of hesitant half-moons. His fingers twitched toward his suspenders, an old nervous tic Jennifer remembered from the camp. The same fingers that had signed shipping manifests for Dr. B's supplies. May's juice glass rolled off the table, shattering. The sound snapped something in Miss J. She spun, spatula raised like a weapon. "Forgive you?" Her laugh was a broken axe handle. "You let that bastard turn our home into a lab." Mr. J flinched when Jennifer's tail lashed against the fridge, leaving claw marks in the stainless steel. The old logger's hand shook as he pulled a crumpled envelope from his vest. "Found this, in Arthur's toolbox." Grease-stained paper slid across the counter. Bunny lunged for it, but Miss J snatched it first. Inside, Arthur's shaky handwriting, "If you're reading this, J, you finally grew a spine. The hybrids weren't the experiment, we were. Doc played us all." Miss J's knuckles whitened around the page. Below, a list, dates, locations, shipments. Proof Mr. J had tried to stop Dr. B after 87. May sniffled, peering at the paper. "He helped?" Her lynx ears twitched uncertainly. Bunny's growl cut off mid-snarl when Miss J tossed the envelope onto the grease-stained countertop. Mr. J's shoulders sagged. "Didn't know, 'bout the kids. Swear." His thick fingers traced a circled date, 3 months before May arrived. Stopped shipments after that. The admission hung between them, greasy as the bacon smoke curling toward the ceiling. Miss J crushed the envelope in her fist. "Forgiveness ain't currency, old man." But her voice wavered when May patted forward, lynx paws avoiding broken glass, to sniff Mr. J's work-worn hands. The girl's ears flicked at the scent of pine tar and honest sweat beneath the formaldehyde stench. Jennifer watched Bunny's nostrils flare from across the room. The jackalope hybrid's ears twitched like divining rods, catching some frequency the rest couldn't hear. Then, impossibly, Bunny limped forward and headbutted Mr. J's knee. A hoarse bark rattled from her damaged throat. Verdict delivered. Miss J's spatula clattered onto the stove. Christ. She wiped her palms on her thighs, leaving greasy streaks on the faded cotton. The envelope lay between them, its edges curling in the bacon fat. You don't get to ask for that. Not after what your signatures enabled. Mr. J's fingers twitched toward his suspenders again, the elastic snapped and frayed at the edges. May crept closer, her lynx nose wrinkling at the scent of his flannel. You smell like the camp, she whispered. Not an accusation. A fact. Jennifer's tail bristled when Mr. J knelt, his knees popping like wet firewood. The old logger's hands hovered near May's ears, close enough to catch the vanilla shampoo Miss J still bought in bulk, far enough to show he remembered how claws work. Didn't mean to fail you kids. His voice cracked like ice under boots. May sniffled first. Bunny followed, her damaged throat producing a sound like a rusty hinge. Jennifer's claws sank into the linoleum as the lynx hybrid leaned forward, pressing her forehead to Mr. J's shoulder. The scent hit him, pine resin, axle grease, and underneath it all, shame, sour as month-old milk. Miss J's coffee mug shattered on the tiles. God damn it. She didn't move to clean it. Just stood there, fists clenched, watching May's tiny claws curl into Mr. J's frayed suspenders. The old logger's knees hit the floor with a thud that shook the bacon grease pooling on the stove. Jennifer's tail lashed against the fridge again, another dent in the stainless steel. He could smell it now, the truth sweating through Mr. J's flannel, pine sap and regret thick enough to choke on. Bunny limped closer, her stitched throat working around a sound that wasn't quite a growl anymore. Mr. J's knees hit the linoleum with a crack that made May flinch. The old logger's hands trembled where they hovered over the lynx hybrid's ears, close enough to feel her warmth, far enough to prove he'd learned. Didn't mean, his voice broke like a rotten branch. May's claws pricked his suspenders before she buried her face in his shoulder. The dam burst then, Bunny's rusty whine, May's sniffles, the way Mr. J's calloused fingers curled around May's back like she was something precious instead of dangerous. Miss J's coffee mug rolled across the floor, trailing bitter droplets. She didn't pick it up. Just stood there, arms crossed under her chest, watching May's tail twine around Mr. J's wrist. The old man smelled like guilt now, pine tar and sweat undercut by something sour. Jennifer's nostrils flared. 3 weeks ago, that scent would have meant a fist to the jaw. Now it just hung there, thick as bacon smoke. Mr. J's knees hit the linoleum with a wet crack. Yes, he croaked, forehead pressing against May's bandaged paw. I failed you. The words dripped like sap from a wounded tree. Bunny's claws clicked forward, one limping step, two, until her nose bumped his elbow. The jackalope hybrid stitches stretched as she rasped out a sound too broken to be a growl. Miss J's spatula clattered into the skillet. Grease spattered the stovetop like angry tears. Get up, she snarled, but her voice lacked its usual bite. May's tiny claws dug into Mr. J's suspenders, anchoring him to the floor. The lynx hybrid's whiskers trembled against his shoulder. He smells like campfire, she whispered, not forgiveness, not yet, but the ghost of it. Jennifer's tail lashed against the fridge again. The stainless steel bore matching claw marks now, jagged parentheses framing this impossible scene. Bunny limped closer, her ragged ears twitching at some frequency only jackalopes could hear. The scent hit Jennifer first, wet wool and wood smoke, the acrid tang of Mr. J's shame dissolving under May's vanilla shampoo. The old logger's knees hit the linoleum with a sound like splitting timber. Yes, he rasped, fingers trembling above May's bandaged paws. The lynx hybrid's claws pricked his suspenders, not attacking, just anchoring. Bunny's nose bumped his elbow, her damaged throat working around a sound too raw to be a growl. Mr. J's shoulders shook. I failed you all. May's ears flicked at the wet crack of his kneecaps meeting tile. The scent, pine tar and something sour, flooded the kitchen. Miss J's spatula clattered against the skillet, grease sizzling like a living thing. Jennifer's tail stood rigid, watching Bunny's ears twitch toward Mr. J's hitched breath. The old logger's hands hovered over May's bandaged paws, shaking like wine through dead leaves. Didn't know, he rasped, the words scraping out raw. May's claws pricked his suspenders, not attacking, just testing, as Bunny's nose bumped his elbow. The jackalope hybrid's damaged throat produced a sound like a rusted hinge swinging shut. Mr. J's knees hit the floorboards with a wet crunch. The scent of pine tar and shame thickened as May pressed her forehead to his shoulder. Smells like campfire, she murmured into his flannel. Bunny's ears twitched at some frequency only hybrids could hear before limping closer, her stitches stretching as she nosed his work-worn fingers. Miss J's spatula clattered against the skillet. All things come to an end, she muttered, staring at the grease-spattered stove like it held answers. Jennifer watched her shoulders hitch, just once, before she turned and grabbed Mr. J's collar with both hands. The old logger didn't resist as she yanked him up, their foreheads nearly touching. You sad bastard, she hissed, but her grip softened when May whimpered. Then Miss J kissed him. Hard. A collision of teeth and whiskey breath that left Mr. J blinking like a stunned deer. Jennifer's tail puffed up instantly. Bunny made a sound like a deflating balloon. Christ, Miss J muttered against her father's split lip. All things come to an end. Her knuckles whitened around his collar. Even your goddamn guilt trip. Mr. J blinked, his cracked lips parted mid-protest, until May headbutt his thigh. The lynx hybrid's claws pricked through his flannel. You're leaking, she announced. Bunny's nose twitched at the copper scent. Miss J swiped her thumb across his split lip, smearing blood like war paint. All things come to an end, she repeated, quieter now. The Zippo clicked between her fingers, a nervous tick Jennifer hadn't seen since the dynamite shed. Mr. J's suspenders hung limp as he touched his bleeding mouth. Even stubbornness? His voice rasped like a dull saw blade. Miss J flicked her Zippo, asterisk click click asterisk, flame dancing between them. Especially that. The lighter snapped shut just as May sneezed from the smoke, her lynx ears flattening against Mr. J's thigh where she still clung. Bunny's claws clicked nervously on the tile, circling the shattered juice glass. Mr. J's hand hovered near May's ears like a man testing bathwater. Didn't think you'd. His cracked lips moved soundlessly around the words forgive me. Miss J snorted, wiping grease off her world's okayest boss shirt with deliberate slowness. Wasn't forgiveness, she muttered, flicking bacon onto a paper towel with unnecessary force. Just ran out of anger. The light curled between them like campfire smoke. Jennifer's tail twitched, he could smell the truth in her sweat, bitter as burnt coffee. Miss J had kissed her father with the same furious tenderness she'd once used to stitch Bunny's throat. Mr. J's fingers trembled where they hovered near May's ears. The lynx hybrid's whiskers brushed his wrist, testing, not trusting. Bunny limped forward, her ragged ears twitching at some frequency only jackalopes could hear. The scent hit Jennifer first, pine resin and gunpowder, the sour tang of shame dissolving under May's vanilla shampoo. Miss J's Zippo clicked shut. All things come to an end, she repeated, softer now. The lighter's warmth lingered between them like a confession. Mr. J's cracked lips parted, no sound came out, just the wet rasp of a man who'd forgotten how to speak without splinters in his throat. May's claws pricked his thigh gently. Even stubbornness, she whispered into his flannel, echoing Miss J's words with childish certainty. Jennifer's tail twitched when the doorbell rang, 3 sharp chimes at midnight. Bunny's ears swiveled toward the sound before the rest of them could react, her damaged throat producing a sound like wind through dead trees. Miss J's boots scuffed linoleum as she moved, grease-stained fingers curling around a skillet handle like a weapon. The thermos sat centered on the welcome mat, its dented metal still radiating heat. Arthur's initials, *AM*, gleamed beneath the lid where someone had scratched them fresh. Jennifer's nostrils flared at the scent clinging to it, pine resin, gunpowder, and beneath that, formaldehyde sharp as a scalpel. May's claws pricked his forearm where she clung, her lynx pupils blown wide. "That's Arthur's," she whispered. "But he's," now meek cried out Jennifer. Miss J's boots crunched gravel as she circled the thermos like a landmine, her grease-stained fingers twitching toward the Zippo in her back pocket. Bunny's ears swiveled toward the street, empty except for tire tracks too fresh to frost over. "Trap," the jackalope hybrid rasped, her stitched throat clicking on the P. Jennifer's claws sank into the doorframe. The scent hit him like a gut punch, pine tar and gunpowder, sure, but underneath it, that same clinical stench from Dr. B's lab coats. May whimpered against his ribs, her lynx claws pricking through his shirt. "Arthur's dead," the girl whispered, yet the thermos steamed gently in the midnight air. Miss J's boot nudged the thermos, sending it rolling across the welcome mat with a hollow metallic clank. Something sloshed inside, too thick for coffee. Bunny's ears twitched violently, her nostrils flaring at a frequency only jackalopes could detect. "Rotten meat," she rasped, backing away so fast her stitches pulled. Jennifer's claws flexed against the doorframe. The scent hit him now, coppery and sweet beneath the pine tar. May gagged, pressing her face into his ribs. "That's not Arthur," the lynx whimpered. The initials AM gleamed too sharply in the porch light, the engraving knife fresh beneath decades of camp grime. "So this is the story of the day a boy named Arthur had became a Kaliadi named Jennifer," said Jennifer to everyone in the room. The end. But don't miss Jay and Jennifer will be back in the story.